Well, audience, it's just me now. Nathan left because I couldn't remember that joke. So, I guess we're going to talk about The Mandalorian, just me and you, audience. There's nobody else here because Nathan left.
Or so you think.
He's back! It's been a whole, not even one episode, but he's back, guys.
I couldn't stay away from this fabulous show.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Yes, it is. Prayers have been answered, songs have been sung, and I have returned.
Speaking of characters returning...
Oh boy! The Mandalorian returned in a second season on Disney+.
Oh, see, I was, of course, talking about Cobb Vanth.
Cobb Vanth,
the book
character. Let's see up front. Fucking spoilers. This is... there is no such...
shocks.
Yeah, but you know. It's nice to just etiquette, you say it. We might even jump around. We are famed for not being the most linear of reviewers.
Well, of course, yes.
But yeah, everything and anything in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, and even references to Season 1 perhaps, it's all on the table, so...
And I'm sure we're going to end up branching out and talking about random other Star Wars properties as well, as we normally do.
Oh boy, won't we? Won't we?
So just in general, spoilers for Star Wars.
Spoilers for pop culture.
Just so you know, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father.
What?
I know.
Gee.
I felt like I should point that out.
I thought I read that in the back of a Cracker Jack box.
Let's talk about The Mandalorian, Nathan.
Okay, let's start on Season 2, Episode 1, Chapter 9. The Mandalorian and the child continue their journey, facing enemies and rallying allies as they make their way through a dangerous galaxy in the tumultuous era after the collapse of the Galactic Empire.
Thank you for that amazing plot summary, which you didn't just read off the box.
I know I didn't. That was just off the tongue. That was in the head. Never read it.
It also doesn't tell us anything about what the actual episode is
No,
about.
it doesn't. It does tell us that it premiered on the 30th of October 2020.
So, I mean, it's a strong opener. I'll just say, I really enjoyed this season.
Yeah.
I think I enjoyed it more than last season because it was specifically tailored to me, a Star Wars fanboy.
Yes, I would agree. I think I enjoyed this season more too, but I enjoyed it in the way that a show typically probably should get better as seasons progress. Like, it's not like, oh, season 1 was rotten. It's just that, you know...
No, season 1 is good, but this does some fun things, and I did say there that it's tailored to me, a Star Wars fanboy, and I do think that's true. I mean, this is the season where they're introducing all of the returning Star Wars characters, specifically a lot of Clone Wars stuff.
Yes.
And the parts of the show that I really enjoy are the parts that don't specifically revolve around that stuff, I think. Like, I really enjoy the Mandalorian, that character. I think he's fun.
I think it's amazing they've been able to make this character. Everything on paper, I think, said this character would be really boring. And I think previous to him finding the child at the end of episode 1, he very easily just could have become another Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an amazingly interesting character. And in this first episode where we meet him, it feels like another day in the Mandalorian show, and he goes to a fighting ring. Kyle, it's all dark, it's seedy, it's Tatooine. Yeah. I think it's Tatooine.
He meets a Cyclops.
That was interesting. And, you know, they go and they have a meeting, you know, where can I find others of my kind? And then they get into a big fight.
First action sequence, Baby Yoda shuts his little bubble.
He shuts his crib, his little buggy, his pram. And that's a little visual cue there, you know, like him and Mando they're down, like they know the score. He doesn't need to set it up. Baby Yoda can act independently enough of himself. And Mando uses his songbirds, which is awesome. Love the songbirds. That's what they're...
Is that what they're called? This little wrist-mounted...
Yeah, they're... I'm
thing?
sure that's what they're called, or they're something birds or something, or song something, because they sound like birds when they're like whistling. And, he kills everyone. They're like the mini missiles that Iron Man has.
Anyway, the Cyclops guy tells him to go to Tatooine, and then he ties him up by a lamppost to be eaten by... I don't know what was happening
Demon
there.
dogs.
Was he being eaten by savages? Were they like wild animals that come out at night on the street? The wild animals that
come out at night, and they're allergic... They're sort of allergic to sunlight a bit. And...
Oh, are these the cat things from Rebels?
I think so. Not the lost cats.
Okay.
They
were on that one base.
They're on that one episode. He ties him up under a lamppost, and, maybe he'll be safe, The light's on. But no,
I don't think we're seeing Cyclops Man again.
No, but, well, Kyle, that's what I mean. He shoots the light and it turns off. He's not safe now.
It's a dark opening, literally.
So, yeah, I know, yeah. Night vision goggles required for all viewers.
Which is weird, because it's really the only kind of morally ambiguous thing he does the whole season. He's way more a good guy in this season, I would say, for the most part.
Yes, I would say so as well. I mean, I think the show doesn't even treat that as morally ambiguous. I think the show kind of treats it as this guy's obviously the baddie.
Yeah, but it's still a pretty cruel way to die, to kill someone.
Well, I think he was giving him a chance to live.
No, he wasn't.
He can get himself down and run away. Yeah, but no, listen, I do agree with you. It was the darkest thing he done. And then, so he leaves and he goes to Tatooine. We're back in Tatooine, Kyle. We're back in that backwater planet.
Everything is always on Tatooine.
We're back on that backwater planet where nothing ever happened. Except that everything ever happened there. And we go back to the Mos Eisley spaceport.
Yep, we meet that one comedic lady.
That one comedic lady from season 1. At first I liked it. First I was like, oh, it's her again. And then I felt like she kept repeating the same line 3 different ways. It was like, he doesn't like droids. If you want him to trust those droids that we know he doesn't like, you better stop doing that. Come on, he doesn't like droids. And she kept saying it about the...
Comedy comes in 3s.
Yeah, but it wasn't funny.
But importantly, we get a cameo from Skippy the Force droid, Nathan.
So...
He's back.
Kyle, I'll be just straight up with you. I've never... I get that some people think it's a meme, you especially and another friend, you speak about it frequently in a group chat. I don't even find it funny. It's just, that's bizarre.
To explain to anyone who doesn't know who Skippy the Force droid is, Skippy the Force droid is the droid who the Lars family in A New Hope buy before R2-D2, who then explodes. And there was a comic like 10 or 20 years ago which said that droid actually saw in the Force that if he didn't sacrifice himself, then the Empire would win and the galaxy would be doomed. So he didn't just malfunction. He saw into the Force that he died, but then that's not canon anymore. That's Legends. In canon, that droid was ordered by R2-D2 to blow himself up for the rebellion. And is that better? Is that a better way of explaining that droid blowing up?
I think the first time I ever had seen A New Hope, I first played the first Lego Star Wars game, which was the prequel game. Mm-hmm. And because it was an astromech droid with a bit of red on it, I was like, is that R4? No, it's not. But I was like, oh my god, it's a red droid that looks a bit R2-D2-y. And it blew up and I was like, oh, okay. This droid, it's a bit square and it's bulkier.
I mean, that's Star Wars. They always need an explanation for everything. That's what Star Wars lore is. It's just explaining everything that doesn't necessarily need explained. Like, it's an old droid, it malfunctioned. There doesn't need to be a deep lore explanation for it.
After the Skippy the Droid tirade, Mando leaves the child with Lady, and then he goes out to this town that was thought lost or something, in the middle of nowhere.
It's not marked on the
Not
map
marked
for some
on.
reason.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
Someone erased the Jedi memory archive.
So, they go there, or he goes there, on his speeder. He goes into the bar. Nice alien man. He just kind of
He's a weakly.
stands there. And the camera pans up and the marshal shows up. And it's Boba Fett.
Dun dun dun. Except it's not Boba Fett because the armor very clearly doesn't fit.
Yes.
Which I think is a fun detail.
That's a fun detail. It doesn't fit Boba Fett either. Hey.
I know. I was gonna say because it's not built for Tamara Morrison either.
So, yeah, no, it's tragic. And then when we sit down to have a drink, he takes off his helmet, Kyle.
Dun dun dun. He's not a Mandalorian. Mandalorians don't take off their helmets.
At this
Nathan.
point, that's what we're supposed to believe in this show. It's not a thing.
But also, it's like a double twist because the audience can also see that in Boba
That isn't
Fett.
a clone. And, you know, they have a chat, and he's like, give me the armor. And he's like, no, this is my armor now. And he's like, no, it's a Mandalorian armor, I'll kill you. And they almost get into a fight. And then a big rumble happens outside. And out of nowhere, you know, this big sand thing starts to ripple through under the main street. And it moved on.
It's a crate dragon, Nathan.
You want to know what I thought it was?
What?
I thought that maybe Sarlacc pits were mobile. I thought, like, there's supposed to be like Venus flytrap type things, I believe. But I thought maybe, like, well, that doesn't make any sense. The one in the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi is just literally in the middle of nowhere. How is anyone going to fall into that? You know?
It's a creature that doesn't make any sense, just like most Star Wars creatures.
Well,
It's a big hole in the middle of the desert. How's it eaten?
I thought they were mobile. Turns out, no, it is in fact a crate dragon. And we see it as like a big snake thing, but apparently that's just its neck. There's full pictures you can see of it, and it's got like arms and like it walks about on all fours like a big lizard, but it hides itself under the sand.
Well, this is another overly elaborate Star Wars explanation, which is there's a skeleton in the desert
New Hope.
in A New Hope. So obviously this is a crate dragon, not to be confused with the planet Crate,
Not
the salt
to be
planet.
confused with the salt planet of Crate from The Last Jedi. And apparently, in A New Hope, the noise that Obi-Wan makes to scare off the sand people
Yes, you're
is
right.
a crate dragon sound. And people have overlaid the audio and... Well, Kyle, I'm convinced. He does a damn good impression, that Obi-Wan Kenobi. He can do animal calls.
He uses the Force to make an animal call.
He scares off the sand people.
Woo!
Exactly. Oh, that's... Kyle, you can do it too. Wow. And they're like, what the hell was that? And the Marshal, Cobb Vanth, he explains, because he's like, I'm from the comic books, and this is what happens in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like...
It's not actually a story from... I wasn't
No,
sure. All I've heard is he's from the book.
I don't have a clue what he done in the comics. I don't know. I just know that he existed there. So what happens is he's like, I'll give you the armor if you help me. And they go a little bit into his backstory as well, about how he became the Marshal. Like he...
I like that character actually.
Yeah.
I think Mandalorian's really good at introducing just one-shot characters.
They never killed him.
No, they never do, so they can bring them back later. Like Bill Burr shows up later in the season.
Yes, fantastic, and we'll get there. So he was like just a guy in the town or something, and then the like minor people came in, like mercenaries came in and started to like put unreasonable restrictions on the town, and he somehow got the Boba Fett armor. I can't remember how he found it in like a Jawa transport or something.
Yeah, it's a very, very classic Western type
Yeah,
story.
so he comes back into the town and kills all the miners, and they're about to escape on the speeder, and he blows them up. Them up, Kyle. And the jetpack's actually...
That classic rocket backpack, which how are they reloading that thing?
I know,
Doesn't make any sense.
mental. Well, what I'll say is, Kyle, the great attention to detail. I saw a picture of it today. You can see repair lines, like welder marks, along the exact area where Han Solo whacked it in Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
Yes, nice attention to detail there.
I like that most of the paint has worn off as well. Like
it's clearly...
you kind of imagine it was dissolved in the Sarlacc pit, is my impression.
Yes, so it's clearly had been like quite worse for wear, but it gets the job done. I don't know if it's pure Beskar
It's
either.
still Beskar. I assume it must be, right? If it's surviving all
Weird,
this.
I think the only person that has pure Beskar armor is Mando at this point. 'Cause everyone else's armor just looks awful.
You see Bo-Katan get shot like 4 times by Moff Gideon and she just walks it off.
I'm not convinced her armor could deflect a lightsaber.
I don't know. It seems weird that he's the only... They've just kind of established it now as people have Beskar.
But never before in the Clone Wars that was a factor.
And I love how it just makes Stormtrooper armor pointless.
Yeah.
Completely pointless.
It's just a uniform.
It doesn't do
just
anything.
A uniform.
Like when he's defending that thing in episode 8 or in 7, and it gets knocked off by a punch. Someone punches his armor off, and it just shatters.
True. So they decide that we need help to defeat this Krayt Dragon. Let's go to the Sand People. And they go to the Sand People, and the Sand People are Sand People, and the dogs show up first, and I was like, they had dogs? I was like, yeah, in Attack of the Clones, they had dogs. Anakin killed them.
I didn't mind it. You know what it did? It made the Sand People actual people, as opposed to just weird desert monster men.
Yes, no, I was fine with it. I mean, I understood they had some sort of...
It really reminds me of, remember Red Faction Guerrilla, the Marauders?
You're calling these guys the Marauders?
To be fair, the Marauders are based on the Sand People.
Oh, are they? Right, okay.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Star Wars came out in the 70s.
Yeah, I suppose. So, they decide they'll team up, and the Tusken Raiders will never attack Cobb Vanth's village again, because they used to raid it and there was drama there, and the Mandalorian had to be like the mediator and talk them all down because he can speak Tuscanese. And they have dinner and they don't have any water, so they have these weird eggs that have like liquidy sand, horrible breath stuff inside. And they drink that, and it's horrible, and it looked horrible, and they sold it as being horrible quite well. I believed that it was horrible. And then the next day comes around and they go hunting, and they find...
I'm going to stop you right now. If we're going to go this detailed on every episode, this episode's going to take like 4 hours.
I don't think we will. This is the pilot though, Kyle.
Okay.
They find a big...
I'm just saying.
They find a big cave, Kyle, and what's inside that cave? It should be a Sarlacc. Apparently, the Sarlacc pit that we see is like a chimney in a cave somewhere. In Return of the Jedi, that's just the chimney pipe. And there must be some big cave somewhere underneath them. That's...
Again, it's like my favourite detail in Jedi Fallen Order, which is the planet you start on. Just has a giant creature living in it with big mouths that you can see eating up the ships.
As we've discussed before, I missed and haven't went back to look. I should probably look up on YouTube even. So, why would it be in the Sarlacc pit? Well, Krayt Dragons, they eat Sarlaccs. Oh my, this is worse than a Sarlacc. And they have to then find the village people and bring the village people in. Not those ones.
I know, there's my favourite moment of comedy first, where they're like every summer they bring out a bantha to sacrifice to the Krayt Dragon, and then the Krayt Dragon comes out and it eats the person instead of the bantha. And it's they're open to new ideas.
It's caused by vibrations, I think. And so they get in the village people, not those ones, and they have to team together to take...
That would be an episode and a half.
Good bit of comedy there.
The village people versus the Krayt Dragon.
Wouldn't it? I'd watch. So they then have to plant all these mines in the sand under it for it to be drawn out, and they make a bunch of noise and they run away. And then it comes out and it doesn't do anything. Oh no.
You know what this was, Nathan? It was a very Star Trek-y episode of Star Wars.
Was it?
You got these 2 desperate cultures and they have to work together to solve a common problem.
You're killing animals. Star Trek doesn't do that. Star Trek saves the whales.
It's a big monster. It's a big monster animal.
Saves the whales. So, then that doesn't work, Kyle. Oh no. they've dug this trench, it didn't work, and then somehow the Krayt Dragon shows up on top of the mountain.
It moves quickly.
Yeah, but no, but how did it get through rock? That was, even the first time I watched it, I was like, how is it just transported up through the rock?
I assume there's like a cave network underneath.
But no. I'd never said. It looked like to me that it burst out from rock, and I was like, but isn't that just solid rock? Was it just throwing itself through miles and miles of rock to get up to the top?
It's really strong. Okay?
It's really strong.
It's fine.
And then Cobb Vanth and Mando decide to jetpack up, and I love seeing Mandalorians using their jetpacks like normally. I thought it was going to look cheesy as hell, because in season 1 I thought it didn't quite look right.
In season 1 it did look cheesy as hell.
But in season 2 it looked really convincing. And they're going around, they're shooting the side of it to draw its attention and then bring it down. And they've got a bantha, Kyle, with all these other mines on it. Why the hell weren't they planted with the rest of the mines?
So they could have a convenient way to kill the thing. Mando, he knew it was going to come to this. Okay?
He knew that was coming. So he was like, get out of here, defend the town. He smacks the jetpack, Kyle. He smacks the jetpack.
Because that's how jetpacks work in Star Wars.
That's
for some reason. You can just hit it and it goes off. And I know that's how they killed Boba Fett in the first place.
That's exactly where Han Solo hit him in the film. So it must be like a button. And he goes flying away, and then Mando goes into the dragon's mouth and somehow survives the explosion.
He flies out.
I thought he flew out after the explosion.
Fine.
It's fine, okay, whatever.
I mean, he's wearing Beskar. Beskar's the end.
He doesn't have it in every single joint on his body, though.
What I did like about that is, for a split second, I was like, because I heard before this episode came out, and I think we talked about it on the podcast, there was all this behind the scenes drama of like, is Pedro Pascal done? Is he leaving the show? Does he want the helmet to come off and all this stuff? And for a split second, I was like, oh, he's dead, and this is the Cobb Vanth show now. And then he flew out and was like, oh, that was dumb. Why did I think that? But for a split second, they almost got me. Just because of out of universe stuff, they got me.
Yeah, no, I do agree as well. Also, that comes back to how the final episode of this season ends quite abruptly as well. People think that might have something to do with it. We'll get there. So he's like, okay, the Krayt Dragon's dead. The Sand people take all the meat. That was part of the deal. Some of the village people, not them, they are happy and safe and sound. And Cobb Vanth's like, here's the armour. It's great, it's fun, it's good stuff. And then Mando takes some of the meat and he rides off into the sunset.
But who's this weird bald guy up looking over a cliff?
This weird bald guy, yeah.
He looks familiar.
Oh my god, it's Jango Fett.
Oh my god, it's Commander Cody.
Oh, Jesus, it's Rex.
Oh my god, it's Fives.
It's a clone.
It is in fact a clone.
It's the clone. It's Boba Fett.
Wouldn't it be absolutely hilarious as a twist if this whole time it wasn't actually Boba Fett?
That would be hilarious. That would... It would feel so unneeded, but if I'd love to see them write their way out of that.
So I'm actually L37652. I just saw this guy Boba Fett was a clone, and I took his identity.
That's why the armour doesn't fit right. So, cut to credits, and on it they spent about another 4 or 5 episodes not addressing that, and I was like, is that all we're getting? Is that...
I figured he was coming back at some point.
Is that just this is the back door to the Boba Fett show? Like that was cynical me thinking that though, just because they went so long without addressing it. Now episode 2, Kel. We want to keep this moving.
Hang on, I'll just finish it. It's a very good season opener. It gets you back into the mood for Mandalorian. It's a nice self-contained adventure.
It does.
I expected Cobb Vanth to come back at some point, but no, it was just that one episode.
He stuck to it.
Maybe he'll come back eventually.
Maybe he will. I happen to think that it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.
Anyway, so I don't want to spend that long in every single episode, so I'm just going to...
I want to read the thing.
Okay.
Returning to Mos Pelgo, the Mandalorian subdues bandits who attempt to capture the child. his speeder bike destroyed, and the Mandalorian walks back to Mos Eisley, finding the lady, her name is Pelimoto, playing cards with Dr. Mandible, who has information about the Mandalorians.
I think at the start of the episode, it was a different event. He had been out bounty hunting, I think, trying to get money.
Possible.
And that's why he was out with the child that time.
Possible, yes. Fair, okay.
Anyway, so in this episode, the Mando escorts a frog lady and they get shot down by X-Wings and they get trapped in a cave with spiders. And most importantly, for the whole episode, Baby Yoda commits genocide.
Murder, I wouldn't say genocide.
He eats babies.
He eats babies, ladies and gentlemen. He eats unfertilized eggs.
No, these were fertilized eggs. These were this lady's children.
I thought that's why they were going to get the father to fertilize them.
No, because she takes them to that hot spring, and I think that's when she was planning to hatch them, is it not?
I don't think so. I think the father was crucial. That she was going to the father for a reason.
Well, she's going to the father because it's her husband, Nathan. She wants a home for her family.
And Tatooine wasn't suitable.
No, obviously. I don't know what that frog lady was even doing on Tatooine.
But anyway, comedy lady is like, her man knows about the Mandalorians, take her. So we go there, we crash. The fairly uneventful episode. Baby Yoda
we get another cameo from Dave Filoni, X-Wing pilot, and also I don't watch the show, but apparently that other pilot who talks more is like a local Canadian guy.
Yes,
of some variety.
Yeah, I'd heard that. He's like a known dude in that area.
He's in one of those local Canadian shows. I don't think it's Letterkenny, but one of those type shows.
Well, they save the day, they shoot, the ship's dead, the ship's completely gone.
Yeah.
But somehow they can pressurise the cockpit still. The New Republic people just leave them there to die.
Yep.
And he somehow pressurised the cockpit, they fly off into space, episode ends.
This was probably, if I'm going to rewatch the season, this is the episode I'd probably skip. For a couple of reasons. For one, it's the most horrifying thing in all of Star Wars to watch Baby Yoda eat people. Like, it made me physically uncomfortable.
I thought it was weird, but I never had that much of a problem with it. I
wasn't the only one. This was kind of a meme when this episode first came out, as Baby Yoda eating people was just really uncomfortable, and it was just... And you had a theory as why you were fine with it. You said, next episode, he's going to spit out all those eggs and it's going to be fine. And I was holding on to slim hope.
I was right.
It never fucking happens, does it? He just ate that woman's children.
I thought in the next episode, all the jar of eggs were going to burst and they were all going to die. But baby, because there's a point where he touches them and he forces, he communes with them. And I was like, well, he knows. He knows, and like he knows they don't think they're safe, and they've made the executive decision to split up a little bit, and he's going to take a few of them, and if things go wrong, he'll regurgitate. Nothing went wrong, and he didn't regurgitate.
No, he was playing with her kids in the next episode. It's like, I could have eaten
this child, yeah. Well, again, episode kind of forgettable, but controversial.
Well, the other reason I would skip it on a rewatch is those spiders all climbing through the caves was actually also terrifying for more intentional reasons.
Yes, it was.
Like, I'm not an arachnophobe, but there's so many of them, and they're just the way they get bigger. It was very similar to Harry
Potter. Spiders and Chopper Base.
I think they're supposed to be the same species of spider from Rebels.
Possibly.
I assume they look the same.
Yeah. So we move on to Season 2, Episode 3, Chapter 11. The Mandalorian braves the high seas and meets unexpected allies, Kyle.
That's a pretty accurate synopsis. He runs into, by golly, if it isn't Bo-Katan Kryze, the true leader of Mandalore.
Who'd have thunk it? They land, they get the eggs, speaks to a Mon Calamari, it says, fix my ship.
With just a fun little detail for you. For those in the audience who don't know, that random Mon Calamari is puppeteered by Iden Versio from Battlefront 2.
Was that her cameo?
Why? Who knows?
I knew.
That's her cameo.
I knew she had a cameo. I never read into it. I was like, she'll be playing some human in the background,
No, she's the Mon Calamari that fixes the Razor Crest.
Wild. Unneeded. So, they see the egg lady sees her man, she runs over, they have dinner.
It's actually, it's a very nice moment.
Yeah,
it's very, gets you in the feels. This random comedic frog lady and her husband reuniting.
Very touching. And then we go to dinner, and he's like, this dude over here, this not Mon Calamari, but the other one, you know, that's like a species with the Quarren.
If you remember Clone Wars, they're from the same planet. And they had a civil war.
The Quarrens, I think.
One of them sided with the Separatists, and one of them sided with the Republic. And Admiral Akbar was there, but he wasn't an admiral yet. He was just Captain Akbar.
That's it. So he's like, "Yeah, I'll take you to your people. We're going on a boat ride." I remember in the trailer, Kyle, you were like, "They better explain why he's on a boat. It makes no sense. He could just fly."
Yeah. Yes. So he's on a boat because it's a trap.
It's a trap. And he's got Baby Yoda with him. He's got the child. And then, you know, they decide, "Do you want to see how we feed this animal?" Sure.
Just bring the child a little bit closer. Let him watch. I don't know why they decide to murder the child.
I know they wanted the child. I think maybe they thought that, like, the case would keep it safe or something. I don't know. Like, they knew, they're experts, they knew they could kill that animal afterwards. So Mandalorian freaks out, he jumps in the water, and he gets trapped under it, and they're trying to, like, stab him and make him drown, because it's not a watertight helmet. Mm-hmm. And when he's under there, and they're, like, stabbing his hands and stuff to make sure he can't hold on.
And then we get some great, like, techno music starts playing. It's like, oh shit, son.
Blade showed up. And, you know, like, he jetpacks and fighting and somersaults. And I saw that helmet with the owl. I was like, oh, it's Bo-Katan. So Bo-Katan shows up with her friends, Lady 1 and Man 1. Man 1 we never really meet again after this episode. And they're really cool, really skilled. Save the child, they jump in, you see shooting, like, you see glowing lights under the water. Like, like laser blasts.
I have to say, of all the characters from the cartoons that they ported over, I mean, there's only a couple, I think Bo-Katan is just about perfect. Like, they just nailed her.
It's the actor who voices her in the show.
Well, yeah, it's Katie Sackhoff, so, yeah. But, like, even her guns, like the weird square Mandalorian guns.
The costuming and the prop masters outdone themselves. And I actually want to comment on that later, because there's some stuff we do, like space battles in this show, or like certain guns certain characters use, and like a gun will overheat or something, and I'm like, that's exactly what happens in Battlefront 2 when the gun overheats. Or Slave 1 has like an ion cannon that EMPs things, and it shoots it and disables a shuttle, and they're like, it's that we've been EMP'd by an ion cannon. I'm like, that's exactly what Boba Fett's ship can do in Battlefront 2. There's so much continuity, like it all makes sense. We're like, I didn't think that ship could do that. And I'm like, no, I knew that ship could do that. I played the game.
I didn't even notice that.
It was clever. Nice to just feel vindicated, and like my time and investment in this universe isn't going to shit because they're paying it off, you know, elsewhere. They're reusing things.
You're being rewarded for being a pedantic nerd.
Yeah, but it's nice to feel like my investment isn't frivolous. They're reusing assets that make sense. They're not just inventing a whole new ability this ship can do. It's like, no, this is what it can do. And the same with these guns in The Mandalorian. In the Clone Wars, it's like they could have just made any. They could have given her like an Imperial blaster if they liked, theoretically. No, they didn't. They gave her screen accurate pistols. They gave her the owl head. They didn't even just give her like a. They didn't. It's not like they painted They didn't paint a factory asset clone helmet either. They custom made Bo-Katan's helmet. It's got this special visor that's slightly more trimmed, and it's got little kind of owl eyes design type thing on them.
The one thing I'll say is she's got like a hairband.
Yeah,
thing.
She has that in the show, in the animation.
She has that in the show, but just something in live action looked a bit off about it, and I couldn't describe what I was
going to say is that in the Clone Wars, in the animation, I believe Ahsoka has the exact same headband.
Yeah, she does. Well, in season 7, she does, because she's been outfitted by the Mandalorians.
And I was going to be like, you know, that'll be really weird to see them both having the same thing on, and then people that haven't watched the animation is going to be like, is this a theory? Are they in love?
Well, yes,
obviously. So they've rescued the child, bring him out. That's the crib dead. No more crib. Bye. And that was, it was a big moment because we're without this crib.
It's sad
to
see.
see the crib go.
It's fun. It's a little ball following around.
It's cool.
Very iconic look.
It's now a thing you can get in Fortnite.
Of course it is.
What do they do, Kyle? They take off their helmets. Oh! Mandalorians, why are you wearing that armor?
Where did you get that armor? It's fun that this happens so soon after Cobb Vanth, who isn't actually a Mandalorian.
It's like, this has been in my family for 3 generations.
It's like, we know where this is going. It's the same scene as before.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh no, he's one of them. He's
a weird, creepy cultist.
Part of the religious cult called the Watch, who believe are they like an evolution of Death Watch or something?
If I remember correctly, back in season 1 when we see the flashback, it is Death Watch who rescues a little baby Mandalorian,
I honestly can't remember. I remember him being saved, but I don't remember anything specific about those Mandalorians.
I'm sure I remember. I checked because I was like, oh, that's a nice detail. The little logos. It's a bunch of blue Mandalorians who show up, and the logos they have are the Death Watch logos.
Okay, so that clears that up. I wasn't sure. So he's a member of Death Watch.
Yes.
And they don't believe in taking off helmets, though. Pre Vizsla had no problem taking off his helmet.
No, it's inconsistent.
Oh, yeah, so they want to go back to a simpler time. They're fine with it though. Bo-Katan's like, no, fucking get a life. We take off our helmets. How impractical would it be?
It's as a little like a tiny detail as an undercurrent of the season is like is Mando being deconditioned from his cult.
I think he is. I think he actually is. And I hope...
Yeah, and I like that. I think that's intentional. Yeah. It's a little undercurrent of the season.
I wouldn't have liked it if every episode subsequent to that, he's just taking off all the time. He's like, oh, okay. It's like, no, this is his life. He must be de-radicalized first.
Right. This season is de-radicalizing him.
But a lesser show would have just done it next week. And we find ourselves then saying that we are going to attack this Imperial cargo ship. As seen in Rebels.
It's holding... Yep. It's got weapons on it. It's being captained by that one guy who's in everything.
He was the helmsman and second officer of the USS Equinox in Star Trek Voyager.
Oh my god, so he was. That's where I recognise him from primarily.
That's where you recognise him from. He was also in Transformers 4.
Yep.
Yeah, no, he's
that guy.
He's that guy, yeah, But again, primarily known from Star Trek Voyager as the helmsman and second officer or first officer of the Equinox.
He's the one that keeps pushing for them to use the space squids.
Genocide.
No, they're not squid, they're eels. They're eels, right?
He wants to take them for enhanced warp technology.
Guys, Star Trek is great, but we're talking about Star Wars.
And it's great to see these ships that were previously just in animation suddenly show up in live action.
Well, my favourite one, what I was waiting for, which I don't think you see in this episode, is the Mandalorian ships, which you see one part in the last episode.
Kyle, if you look closely, you'll actually see it in the Rise of Skywalker end fight in the sky.
Oh my goodness. You'll also see the Ghost.
The Naboo Star.
It's right next. It's on the left of the Millennium Falcon.
You're like, wow, it's every single ship that's ever existed.
Nathan, we spoke for 3 hours about the Rise of Skywalker. We're never doing it again.
So, no, we don't see it then, but it's nice to see this Imperial cargo ship. They invade the Imperial cargo ship as it's leaving. He leaves the child with the lizard people again, with the eggs.
The frog lady, yeah. And that's another meme I like from the show is how easy it is for the Mandalorian to find a babysitter.
That is, yes. However, I do like that he had to look at him sternly, being like, "Don't you try and eat those babies?
Don't you eat these fucking babies, you little bitch!
Don't you do it? I'm watching you." And he's like, "Fine, okay." So Mando goes off with Bo-Katan and her cult, and they attack this ship. Very cool. They're very proficient. It's not just Mando doing all the heavy lifting. They're perfectly capable on their own, but he's a great asset. And this is why I think that he's the only with Beskar armour, because there's a point where they're all pinned down and the stormtroopers are at the end of a hallway just firing downhill. And he's like, oh, hold on a minute, I'm going to tank these guys with some grenades. And he just runs right at them and all the bullets obviously ping, 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 ping off them, but the rest of them don't. The rest of them just stay back.
You did say something earlier. You said pure Beskar. Yes. So I'm wondering if if everyone else's armor is like it's like a Beskar alloy.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's
because his is directly made from
sense.
like a welder lady blacksmith.
An ingot,
from Imperial.
Pure Beskar.
Yeah, exactly. So I think his is pure, and there's lots of impurities. Now theirs is older as well. There's a lot of things to be said there, you know. So that's why I think he's the only one that's actually got proper pure Beskar. Because they also mention it with the spear later on. It's made out of pure Beskar, and it can deflect lightsabers and stuff.
Yes.
So I think the word pure, I think, is quite key. So he just tanks all the shots because suddenly stormtroopers are really accurate and they don't miss a shot and they all go right into him but ping off.
They've learned they can aim at the shiny bit, they can't aim at the black part that isn't armoured.
They can't do that, it's not allowed. And then he gets up to them and throws grenades and gone. And now, like, in the cargo bay, because the original plan was that they were just going to steal the cargo and not steal the ship. And then after they get to the cargo bay and kill the comic relief officer, they're like, no, we're actually going to take this ship. And Mando's like, what? Are you fucking kidding? That wasn't part of the deal. And he's like, she's like, I'm altering the deal. And you're like, are you Darth Vader?
And then she goes, this is the way, like, to make fun of him.
I actually don't know if maybe she meant that sincerely. Like, if that's just that.
No, she gave him like a little smirk.
Oh, did she?
You couldn't see it, but you could see under his helmet he was just seething with annoyance at that point.
But he stays on board and he gets the job done. They rush to the bridge. He tanks the shots, and Star Trek Voyager person speaks to Moff on the hologram telly, and he's like, "We need reinforcements." And he's like, "No, if they've got that far, there's nothing we can do. You know what to do." And that's when he shoots his pilots. And he starts planting the ship directly towards the ocean, which is admirable, I suppose. His loyalty to the Empire. And then even after they get in and they pull the ship up, he's like, you don't know who you're fucking with. And he takes a cyanide pill.
It's a
Star Wars cyanide. It's sci-fi. It's sci-fied. Sci-fi.
I got it.
Good.
It's very good.
Thank you. So they pull up shit. He's like, "You know, come with us. Like, you'd be great help, and we're going to retake Mandalore. Status currently nebulous, but we're still assuming it's like a Mad Max planet, maybe with the Imperial loyalists still on it." And he's like, "No, there's a baby. Remember the green baby you helped me? We've just left him down there. I can't." You know, so so they don't land the ship. They keep going, and he's very lucky that he's got.
Well, all he wants from Bo-Katan is she knows where Jedi is apparently, and that's why he's helping.
Yes. It's like, go to this planet. There's no reason she would know that Ahsoka's on this planet. By the way,
I guess they keep in touch.
Yeah, of course. But Bo-Katan didn't keep in touch with her to let him know that the Mandalorian's coming.
I guess
not.
She's busy. She's a busy lady.
Her.
She's got a bar to sit in. And
she's got time between the ship, arriving places, and she's like, "Go say Ahsoka Tano, go say Bo-Katan sent you to find you, Ahsoka Tano." And
then we as an audience go,
name drop. And everyone that's never watched the cartoons is like, "What? What's in the Ahsoka Tambo?" No. Don't say that. So episode ends, great time. Everyone's in a high, Kyle, because
yes.
Wow. So we go to episode 4, chapter 12. The Mandalorian and the child must make a stop on their voyage to have a ship repaired. They meet 2 old allies, and the Mandalorian helps them on a mission to destroy an Imperial outpost.
This, to me, if this isn't a skippable one like episode 2, I would probably skip on a rewatch. This one's fine. It's just fine though. Carden and Carl Weathers, I just don't really care for those characters.
I think they're perfectly normal, but yeah, it's not. It doesn't get my blood pumping because actually, I remember at one point during the speeder chase, I looked away. I started looking at my phone. I was like, okay, this is fine. This is whatever. I actually don't find speeder chases that enamoring in Star Wars. I don't like it. I've never liked it in Return of the Jedi. I've never liked it in anything. I don't like the pod racing sequence in The Phantom Menace. I just don't find it.
I mean, when they're in that big tank thing, they're being chased by the TIE fighters. That's okay.
Fun. That's fine. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, but the speeder stuff, I'm sure there's speeders.
There is, and there's a moment where they're like, "We're gonna jump off this cliff," and then one of them just fucking crashes immediately, and I laughed out loud because it was fucking great.
So they go, and there's a school, and they leave the child in the school.
Well, yes, since last season, Carl Weathers has turned from being like a bounty hunter guy who hires. He's like a head of the bounty hunter guild or something.
Yeah, he's like an admin guy that hands out the bounties.
But now, because he's taken over the job of Werner Herzog, he has like a nice robe on now.
He has a nice robe on, and he's gone legit.
He's gone legit, and now it's like a nice town. It's
and
weird.
There's a school,
it's a bit weird.
Cara Dune's the marshal.
Mm-hmm. Just like Cobb Vann.
Yeah, and there was an Imperial droid.
Baby Yoda uses the Force to steal Oreos.
To steal macaroons.
Sorry, macaroons.
Blue macaroons, because he looks spacey. And he's like, nibble, nibble, nibble. And it's
they
really
were
cool.
Probably baked with blue milk.
Baked with blue... Oh, Kyle, you're right. You're so right. When you're right, you're right. And that's right. You're like, yeah, no way. They definitely were. So... he's like, fine, I'll leave them here and I'll come with you to do a scout. And it's this big base. It's maybe only got a skeleton crew or something left on it, though. And we leave. Stuff goes wrong. They find clones.
Yes, and people seem to believe that's Snoke.
I hope
from what I've seen online.
It won't be Snoke. It won't be Snoke. We're too far out from Snoke. And also, that was like a Palpatine thing now we know, so it's just not Snoke. I don't know what it was.
I think people have said you hear hints of the Snoke theme in there. And to be honest, I couldn't even tell you what the Snoke theme is, so...
I can hear it in my head. I can hear the Snoke theme in my head. I can't remember hearing it in that episode. Then again, I also never heard the dubstep Dark Trooper thing that everyone else in the world heard.
Go back, it's hilarious, actually. They're showing beauty shots of the Dark Troopers, and it's like... Ba 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 It's hilarious.
Well, I'm not denying its existence. I just was completely... My ears must have been turned off for it. So it's a fairly... honestly, even though I read the preview of the episode, I couldn't remember it until you said that Cara Dune and Carl Weathers was in it. And this Blue Jean guy, they stand out.
Oh, of course. Rest in peace, Blue Jeans guy. Admiral Blue Jeans.
He's the first thing that Disney have retconned out of their own canon.
Yep. I wish they had more of a sense of humour about that stuff.
Well, I know, but I think like Game of Thrones, even they edited out like the Starbucks coffee cup and all that. Like, I think they want to make. I think they do have a sense of humour about it, like, but they just want to polish it up. I suppose they never tried to suppress knowledge of it.
Season 3, we're gonna meet a guy wearing blue jeans who's an ex-Imperial.
That'll be in the Rogue One sequel.
Little nod to the audience.
So that episode's over with. I don't really have a strong opinion on it, do you?
No, I really don't. Like I say, Cara Dune, Carl Weathers, I just... characters.
Don't New Republic people show up and they give her like a medal?
Yeah, they say, do you want your own show, Cara Dune? And they hand her a medal.
Yeah, and she's like, okay, that's fine.
And they reveal that she's from Alderaan.
Well, yeah, it's like, did you lose anyone in Alderaan?
It's like, oh shit, did you lose anyone when the planet blew up?
They were all on holiday in Ryza when that happened. They were all... Where's a holiday planet in Star Wars?
The planet where they steal the Death Star plans.
They were on Scarif. when Alderaan blew up. They weren't there. But yeah, so she lost everyone. That's very sad. So, let's move on. Episode 5. The Mandalorian journeys to a world ruled by a cruel magistrate who has made a powerful enemy.
And this episode doesn't take any time at all at saying Ahsoka's here.
That powerful enemy right off the bat. It's Ahsoka Tambo.
It's Orange Lady with a weird headpiece.
It's got white katana lightsabers.
Jokes aside, it made me smile as it gave me the nostalgia for being a child, and Ahsoka Tano was there, Nathan, and she was real.
It was real because as much as we love animation, there's still that thought of, if they're going to retcon anything, they could easily retcon the animation.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing her now in live action, like, yeah, well, they're not going to retcon it now. Like, something about making the jump to live action feels like that's set in stone now. Yes. That this character now exists in all realms.
Now normal people know who she is.
Yes, exactly. So she's like an assassin jumping around, showing up, dirting dodging and diving and bobbing and weaving through the fog and showing up behind trees and taking people down with her white lightsabers, only igniting them to strike and then hiding them again. Because they're pretty bright, walking around with them out would give your position away very easily. And the magistrate shows up on the wall with their robot droids being like...
With their robot droids and with Michael Biehn looking very old.
I didn't even know it was him until you said.
I didn't know it was him until I saw the credits at the end.
Well, we decide that Ahsoka's going to go hide. Mandalorian is going to show up looking for Ahsoka Matambo.
Yes.
So we find that he lands a wee bit away and he walks into the town and he's like, I can't remember, what does he say?
I can't remember either.
This is great. But he shows up and he has like a little conversation with the man, the Terminator man. And they walk to the magistrate and the magistrate's like, I've got a problem. I've got this Jedi attacking me.
Well, as they're walking, we see the civilians of this little
they're
town
hiding.
are being...
Yeah, and he
They
talks
have they have the torture devices from the Mirror Universe. The agony booths, whatever they're called.
So they do. They have the agonizer booths, but they're like inverted, so it's on the outside, not the inside. They're like, there's no glass.
You know what? You remember back to that underwater Clone Wars episode where they put them in the cage of eels?
Oh my god! This all ties together, Kyle. It's all investment. And he's like, he says he doesn't agree to it, like to kill Ahsoka. He just kind of nods politely to get out of the room. He doesn't want to be in that situation.
Well, she offers a pure Beskar spear to kill the Jedi, which, as a Mandalorian, he's got like an obligation to get Beskar, I guess. It's just like, they need to reclaim it. And he pops I just stop you there. This episode in particular, I think visually has the most interesting planet in the season. I just love the look of this planet.
I thought it was like Dagobah Light.
No, it's all dead, and all these dead trees, and you've got these weird big dinosaurs in the background.
Apparently I do not look at the background. I never saw a dinosaur.
There's big dinosaur creatures in the background, and then they've got this two-tiered village where the outside is this nasty looking rundown place, and you go into the magistrate's garden, and it's nice and lovely, and it's all extremely Asian, Nathan.
Yes, I noticed that as well.
Because this episode is very, very much a samurai movie.
Yes. Well, I'll say this, I never found apart from the nice garden place, I never found the place to be visually appealing at all. I thought it looked very grim.
That's why I love it, though.
No, I just had nothing popped at me. I was like, wow, this is a different world, Like I loved the fight at the end. I loved how the light reflected into the water. I thought it was all beautiful. So we go into the woods and pops the baby Yoda down, and because he hears something, and then lightsabers ignite. Fight, fight, fight.
And we learn that Beskar can block lightsabers.
Bit of lore there, big drop. Got to keep that in your pocket. Don't forget about that fact. It becomes very important.
It would have been much funnier if he went to block the lightsaber and his arm just got cut off. Oh, fuck.
Well, he uses the flamethrower and nothing happens. He
burns her poncho.
Yeah, he does. And then he ties her up and she breaks out and he jumps over the tree, and then he cuts it because he gets pulled up when she jumps over the tree, and then he drops down with the pistol in his hand and he says her name. He says, Ahsoka Tano! Bo Kanata sent me. You're like, wow, okay, well, they two are best friends on Facebook.
So. I just want to talk. And then she goes, I hope it's about him. And she looks at Baby Yoda.
Yeah, we're like, wow.
Or should we say Grogu?
We get a name! We get a name for the child.
I don't know how I feel about it. It's fine. It's a fine name.
It
sounds a bit like Yoda, and that's it.
I got used to it. The name and the fans were using was Yiddle.
No, the fan name was Baby Yoda. I've never heard Yiddle.
Like in terms of like a lore name that could possibly be, it was Yiddle.
Yiddle's shit. Grogu's much better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I never cared. At first I thought Grogu sounded weird, but it's grown on me. I'm fine with it.
I still haven't got used to Din Djarin.
Din Djarin, yeah, and that's why I never write it down. I just say Mando because if I don't, it's like it's whatever. And they chat, and this is why it was Dagobah, because he got some Jedi training. And they sit
He
him on the
does.
rock, and they're like, lift the stone, and he doesn't want to do it.
But
And
he
he's
wants the ball. He wants the silver
here's
ball.
the ball that I took off you earlier from the Razor Crest. I know you like it. And he's like, come on, kid. I thought he was going to take his helmet off to do this, by the way. I was surprised he didn't. And then they commune with him, and he's like, yeah, and he does it. He does it, Kyle. He does it. He's able to do it because he really wants that ball, and he gets the encouragement he needs off his dad.
And because of that, Ahsoka's, I'm not going to train him.
Not going to train him. I can't be arsed. I've got other things to do.
But yeah, you were about to say that he was a survivor of Order 66.
He was a survivor of Order 66. He was smuggled out of the temple by none other than the old man walking stick Jedi from the Clone Wars.
Is that true?
No, it's not. I'm making that up.
Okay. I thought this was some expanded detail.
Yeah.
See, that mystery there is they don't say he escaped. They say he was smuggled out, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think we're not done with Baby Yoda yet.
Maybe
There's
it was
a mystery
temple
there
guards.
still.
You think they'll give us prequel flashbacks?
I don't know. They already did. Remember, they see the super battle droids in season 1.
Fair, I suppose so. Yeah, that's precedent set. Well, yes, we get a lot of things. We get a lot of information about Grogu, his name,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's like, "Okay, I'm not going to train him. I'm not going to train him. Can't be arsed." Quite frankly.
No, I like. She says she knows what happens when people get too emotionally attached, and if you know who she's talking about.
She's talking
you
about
don't need to know.
Our old master, Vader the Darth. Yeah, but you don't need to know. You don't need to have watched anything to know that, because it is nice that they don't really make it that required. But if you know that it's a big payoff for them to reference to the fact that she had a relationship with Anakin Skywalker.
It's weird, the Ahsoka stuff, because to us, I think there is enough nods in there to previous stuff of Ahsoka where it's like, this is Ahsoka, and I'll say, I think her design is good, other than, and I've said, and we talked about this before, her head spikes are too short.
Yes, then I said it was probably for stunt practical reasons.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. It's just, it's not as cool visually to see this. The bigger spikes are cooler visually.
Personally, I think her Rebels look ain't that great to begin with. I thought that she looked too big, if you get me. Because I think we saw an older version of what she would look like in the Clone Wars once, and I was like, you should use that. But then because Rebels is a different art style slightly, they had to change that. And
they made her look more Jedi than she did in Rebels. In Rebels, she's mostly wearing armor.
Yeah, fair.
Whereas now she's wearing more of a Jedi robe, and she still has like the metal gauntlets, which are very Clone Wars.
At the end of Rebels, when she's Ahsoka the White, yeah.
I just completely ignored that. Don't worry about it.
But she's not got her stick, so
she doesn't have Sabine either.
Doesn't have Sabine either. I think we should really do a second episode where we talk about the future of the show, because this is going to get long.
That's why I said we can't go into too much detail in all these episodes.
We've got nothing to talk about then.
We got plenty to talk about. We just talk about the highlights that we liked. We don't have to give a plot synopsis. We're already assuming people have watched it.
That takes 2 seconds to plot synopsis. I'm fine with that. But I liked how, after that, they team up. Kyle, that's what I liked. And
they'll never see it coming.
Never see it coming. And he approaches and he's like, yo, I killed her. And the whole time she like sneaks in the side.
No, it's the opposite, Nathan.
Oh, is it? Oh,
she comes in with his shoulder pad and she throws it down and says, your assassin failed.
Yeah, that's what happens. Sorry, I've got it the wrong way around. There's a big fight. Good fight. Lovely fight. The droids are moving about. She's doing prequel jumping left, right and centre. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And then she has this fight with the magistrate, spear versus 2 swords, while Michael Biehn and the Mando have a conversation.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's like they're having like an Eastern fight, and they're having like a Western gunslinger fight.
Yes, that's it. They're having their showdown.
Well, yeah, but it was great. The fight was fantastic. That's the payoff to Beskar can deflect lightsabers.
Yes, I love the noises it makes.
Oh, yes, it sounds very nice. And if a lightsaber spends too much time on it, it starts to glow red like it's heating up.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me think a sustained hit from a lightsaber, like being held on it, probably would get through it.
Yeah, you just got to melt it first.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like if you just held it on it, like it's quick scuffs won't do anything.
I like that too, because it establishes that Mando now has a weapon against lightsabers.
Which will come in handy later.
It sure will.
She wins. She wins the fight, Kyle. Ahsoka wins the fight.
Shocker. You know what, I have to say, it's because it's a show, but in reality, there's no fucking chance that old woman had a shot against the Jedi.
She wasn't that old.
She was like a middle-aged woman with a spear against Ahsoka. It was a cool fight, but I just don't think it should have been that much of a challenge.
I bought it. It was fine.
I mean, it's the issue with any Jedi fight ever, which is they could end it in 5 seconds by using the Force.
Kyle. Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?
Of course.
And that's... Everybody went, whoa! Whoa there! What are you on about, dude? Grand Admiral Thrawn's in the cartoon. You're bringing him to live action too.
Why do they sound like that?
I don't know. I don't know why they sound like that, Kyle.
So this sparks the debate, I think, which is Admiral Thrawn in this show, or is he in the Ahsoka show?
The Ahsoka show, I would think.
Because I think he might be in this show, because...
Well, I think we're going to get the first season of Ahsoka before we get season 3 of Mando. So
is it coming out next year?
What?
Ahsoka?
No, I think that might be 2022.
Mando season 3 is coming out next year.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
The Book of Boba Fett is.
It's part of this show. It's still season 3.
People seem to be quite adamant. The sources I subscribe to say that they are one and the same, but a lot of people who you would think are smarter than this are being quite adamant that you're going to get Mandalorian season 3, and this is not it.
The way it's phrased, the fact that they've already announced Mando season 3 is coming out, the fact that it's called Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy said Mando season 3 will premiere in December 2021. And then we got this announcement of the Book of Boba Fett premiering in December 2021.
We can talk about this after we've talked about the episodes.
Yes,
It's one of those lines which I wonder, does it mean anything if you don't know who Thrawn is? And to be fair, people might know who Thrawn is more than Ahsoka, because the book's quite famous.
And Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire is quite famous, yeah. So you know what? I think that ultimately it doesn't matter. Like if they that's her leading to the for her own show. That's why I think she'll show up in.
He'll show up in Ahsoka's show.
Yes, he'll show up in Ahsoka's show.
I just want to know where Sabina is, Nathan. Where is she?
Find out. She'll show up in the Ahsoka show too.
I'll get to that Darksaber stuff later.
We really need to keep moving here, Kyle. We need to start booking it.
What's next? Episode 6?
Episode 6, the Mandalorian and the child travel to an ancient site because Ahsoka said take him to the ruins of an old Jedi temple and he will commune with the Force, and if he wants to continue his training, a Jedi may answer his call.
Mm-hmm. So they go there and he won't activate the light beam, and then dun dun dun, there's a very familiar ship shows up.
Slave 1, baby! And Baby Yoda activates the big beam, and Mando's like, wait, time to go.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't break through the barrier. And he does it like 3 times in the episode.
Yeah, he keeps trying, like it's going to make a difference.
And he keeps saying the same dialogue too, which makes you think if they're just using the same line, playing into people thinking that there was some problems on set.
Just that one scene though.
Yeah, it's the way you edit stuff, out of sequence, like maybe there was some pickups that they couldn't do.
Anyway, Fennec Shand is back as well.
Fennec Shan's back, so it was Boba Fett we saw at the end of season 1. We going to revive her when we thought she was dead in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
She's now an android.
She has a robot stomach.
She is a Lieutenant Commander Data.
She is a Picard.
She is Picard. And then Tamara Morrison's Boba Fett is like, where's my armour? I want my armour.
I don't want your armour. I want my armour.
Yeah. And we're like, wow.
Can I just say, love him to death, Tamara Morrison. He's not the best of actors. Especially when he's sharing a scene with Pedro Pascal and Ming-Na Wen. He really stands out as not the best.
I tell you what, I bought every line. I thought that's exactly how Boba Fett would sound.
There's just something about it. I just never quite buy him.
Well,
he looks like he's having a blast.
Yeah, whilst they're fighting, he takes off the jetpack, lower your sniper and don't shoot the child. Though I think that force power probably deflect it, but he doesn't know that. And they completely surrender everything. They have a wee chat, and he says, I'll help you with the child and whatnot. And then the Empire show up in First Order dropships.
Well, it's weird to me in that conversation is Boba Fett could solve it really easily by just saying my father was a Mandalorian. And he just doesn't. He just doesn't say that. He doesn't say that until he has the armor on. In that conversation where he's trying to get it, he's just like, I'm just a man trying to make my way in the galaxy, because he's quoting his dad, you see.
Though his dad said universe.
Sorry. It's completely different. He's a different character. He's not a clone of the same man.
That one line word of a difference. And but anyway, so the Empire attack, and by the way, Tamara Morrison, great. He was like a horror villain.
It was weird. He has this weird spike staff.
Apparently that was like an aboriginal weapon of some sort.
I looked it up, and apparently it's a Sand People weapon.
Oh, is it? Right, okay. I thought
it's the thing where they hold it up and go, it's one of those.
Oh, yeah. Suddenly I see that. But he, is brutal with it. He is really good with it.
Again, Stormtrooper armor is like tissue paper. You can break it with a blunt object.
You see it all just crack up.
Yeah.
And they're all, hundreds of them just seem to be piling out. So pile out. And he's doing his fighting hand-to-hand combat stuff. What is Mando doing?
He's helping Fennec Shand.
But Fennec Shand seems to be doing okay with the sniping and the barrel rolling, and then she throws a boulder downhill and there's an Indiana Jones moment. All the stormtroopers are running away from a boulder.
I do not know what their plans are for Fennec Shand.
I don't know why she's in the Bad Batch. We'll get there.
They fight off the stormtroopers, and then the stormtroopers, he goes back up and he says, it's time to leave. And then he's like, I'm going to protect you. And then the second after he leaves, the thing stops going, like the sky laser.
Sky laser stops going, and more drop ships come down, and Boba Fett sees the opportunity to go and get his armor.
Sure is lucky he did that.
Sure is lucky he did that, because he was about to not have the opportunity. I'm annoyed that Mando lost his rifle, by the way.
Yeah, his insta-kill weapon.
His insta-kill weapon.
He didn't use it this whole season anyway, did he?
He did have it with him this season, yeah. He used it with the Crate Dragon and whatnot, yeah, he did.
Oh, yeah, so he did.
So, he gets the armor, his rocket missiles that shoot out of his kneecaps. And he's got flamethrower, he's got his jetpack. And
he just looks off, though.
Daddy fit.
Yeah, he's bulkier than the guy who recently died late last week. Rest in peace.
Jeremy Bullock,
that guy. Yeah.
Nice guy. Oh, but you know what? 5 years in a Sarlacc pit, or however long it was in the acid, and he's been out of work. Not out of work, but you know what I mean? He's the character.
I mean, shouldn't he be disheveled and skinny then, as opposed to
he's bloated. He's
bigger?
When he got out, he's been eating a lot and eating heavy. He's been depressed, Cal. Depressed.
Well, as we see, when you sit on the chair of Jabba the Hutt, you just become fat.
You just become fat, yeah. But the armour is still dishevelled and he's got it, but it fits himself. Anyway, he gets it all on. Boba Fett takes over the fight, absolutely wrecks house, does a fantastic job. We all like Boba Fett. They keep trying to set up a machine gun turret on the ridge, and they just can't do it, and the boulder comes down and crushes it all away. They've got individual stormtrooper armor for that, so it's this is the LMG trooper, and I like that because this show's on a budget, and I thought they would just have them all be stormtroopers. Then they all retreat. Kyle did retreat because the Death Troopers the Dark Troopers are getting sent in.
Yeah, and is this before or after they blow up his ship just for lols?
It's I believe they do that after the drop ships left. So the drop ships leave, and then Boba Fett with he aims at the drop ships. And then he fires at them and hits the wrong one, but it kills them both, And he says he was aiming for the other one. And you actually see a shot through his targeting computer, and he actually was aiming for the other one. So
that's funny. Okay, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he actually was aiming for the other one. So when he says that he hit the wrong one, it's true. He really did hit the wrong one. No, it worked out. Then after all that, it's a nice wee moment of levity that I hit the wrong one. Hardy har har. Boom.
Dub troopers come in.
No, boom. Razor Crest blows up. Boom. The ship that we've known for 1 and a bit seasons, boom, gone.
I like that ship. It's a nice ship.
That was a nice ship. I missed it. I'm going to miss it. And then the dark troopers are deployed, and they're all at the bottom of the hill, being like, oh no, this ship, what will we do without this ship? While they're down there, dark troopers come down, land at Grogu, and they take him away. Because he's passed out because the force beam exhausted him.
Knocked the wind out of him.
And they run back up, and it's too late. Boba Fett happens to be in Slave 1, he's like chasing them up, and he's like, I'm going to engage. And they're like, don't engage, they've got the kid. I would have loved to see what a Slave 1 shot would have done to them, though. Like, if those bolts were big enough to just incinerate them or not.
Probably.
And he's like, okay, disengaging. The way keeps following them above the clouds. And he sees an Imperial light cruiser. And he's like, the Empire.
And this annoys me because I'm like, who did you think you were fighting before, Boba Fett? They showed up in dropships.
I know, I know. I liked the moment, but it did feel disconnected from what had been happening. I think maybe it's the power of seeing a Star Destroyer, even if it's a light cruiser. I think it's just the power of seeing one of them like that. You know, he's probably not seen one since Return of the Jedi.
Well, this is something I mentioned when this episode came out. I love how the Mandalorian plays with scale of these things.
In a good way.
In a good way, because it's a light cruiser. It's not even half the size of a regular Star Destroyer, but it looks massive, and it feels massive.
Yes. Though, when you think of it in Rogue One, it's like, those Star Destroyers look big, but they don't look massive. And then you would put a light cruiser next to them, where in this show they are massive. And
it's this weird thing where one Star Destroyer is a big threat, 5 Star Destroyers, that's not that big deal.
Exactly, yeah. Though I would
Someone
like to see...
should have said that to Rise of Skywalker.
Hey! But yeah, so he disengages, leaves, and the Star Destroyer goes to Lightspeed and leaves, and they go back down, and he's like, here, that's your armor, you can keep it. You honoured you helped. And he's like, no, Worms, we'll stay until the child is safe. And he finds the spear in the wreckage.
It seems weird to me. Yeah, just Boba Fett in this season. I mean, Boba Fett isn't much of a much in the original trilogy, but he doesn't strike me as a very honourable type of guy.
He can do what he likes. I'm fine with it. We never knew nothing about him. He worked for the highest earner or the highest payer, but nobody's paying him. So maybe it's
we know a lot about Boba Fett from the Clone Wars.
In the Clone Wars, we do. But
he's on a crap load of Clone Wars episodes.
He was a kid. He was a kid, and he was angry, and he got on with the wrong crowd. He
got shoved in a box by Asajj Ventress.
He did, yeah, he did indeed. So I'm forgiving of all that, and we then see that he will stay with the Mandalorian, and Fennec will stay with Boba Fett because she's indebted to him.
Because she's got nothing better to do.
Yeah, So that's the end of that episode.
It's the shortest episode, but it doesn't feel like the shortest episode.
No, but it's a really good one. Episode 15.
Action-packed.
To move against the Empire, the Mandalorian needs the help of an old enemy. Sorry.
Yes, so they go to a drunk planet and they recruit Bilbo, whose character name is Mayfeld.
For some reason I thought we were going to say Bilbo Baggins.
They get Bilbo Baggins. And they get Bilbo, whose character name is Mayfeld. Something like that.
Yeah,
is that right?
Sure, yeah, Merryweather.
I think it's Mayfeld.
Yeah, it's Mayfeld. It's not Merryweather, that's Ensign Merryweather from Star Trek Enterprise. And he's like, I don't want to leave the junk site. I like doing junk stuff, and the droid's like, I will stun you. Like, move.
Yeah, can I just say it's weird that the New Republic uses slave labor? I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Let's gloss over it. He sees Carden, and she's like, yo, you're coming with me. And they turn the corner, and there's Boba Fett in new painted armor, like he's green. And I was like, shit, I never thought they were going to do that. I thought it was great.
I just like the idea of like, yes, I'm going to help you, Mandalorian, but first I want to stop and paint my armor.
They did it on the ship on the way. He's like, oh, I thought you were this other guy. Oh no, the other guy is also here. And he's like, hey, yes. Mando. And he's like, why would Boba Fett not think you're also referring to him when you say that? Why is he the only man?
I'm going to say right now, this might be my favourite episode in the season.
Why is Din Djarin the only Mandalorian that gets referred to as Mando and no one else is confused?
It's just this thing, you know.
Like if he said that in a room with Bo-Katan, would she just think, no, he's obviously talking to Din Djarin?
Yeah, I guess so.
No, I think it's bullshit. I think that it's just convenient because nobody wants to call him Din Djarin.
Because they came up with a bad name for him and they don't want to use it.
Exactly. But they've mentioned it a couple of times now, so they're stuck. And they go and they take him out, and then they need to go to this planet for reasons unknown. They need to get the schematics to the light cruiser for some reason. Because
no, they need to get the location. They need to find out where it is.
Right, okay, I thought it was the schematics, the location. And they land, and they look down, they see these transports taking stuff through a big tunnel, and they're like, who's going with Mayfield? And Cardin's like, I can't, or something for some reason.
Okay, so they have a device that will check if you're on the Imperial blacklist.
Yeah.
So Mayfield is okay because he used to be an Imperial operative.
Yep. She isn't because she was a rebellion drop shock trooper.
Yeah, she's a shock trooper.
Fennec's wanted.
And let's just say they'll recognise his face because he's a clone. Yeah.
Yeah. Some old officer down there is like, wait a second. What are you doing here? I remember you.
Well, at first it didn't even occur to me. I was like, oh yeah, because he worked with Darth Vader. But then I was like, oh yeah, he's a clone.
He's a clone. Everyone will see him. Like the whole chapter's about him, his face in the Imperial Archives.
Yes.
And so he can't go, that's fine. Mando can go, doesn't really want to go, but fine. And he changes out of the armour, and it was weird seeing his voice come out of a different helmet.
Yes, because that helmet is his face.
Yes, the helmet is his face. And they get in, Cardin takes the armour, very big of him to trust her. And they they disabled it really easily, and then these pirates come along to fuck with the Empire, but obviously they're on a mission. That's pretty morally ambiguous, killing the freedom fighters to get on with the mission.
I don't know if... they're like anarchists. They're just blow up the fuel for whatever.
I think they're trying to fuck with the Empire. I think they want their planet to be free.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I guess killing them is kind of bad, but you
gotta get it done.
Talked it out, said, hey, we're also trying to betray the Empire.
The stakes are Baby Yoda, Kel.
Yes.
All the other transports in front of them start getting destroyed one after another, and it's like, reroute, no, continue on your course, and you can't go too fast, or the thing will explode.
It's almost exactly like Speed, the movie Speed with Keanu Reeves. They have to keep a consistent speeds, or the fuel
you just can't stop, or they'll blow up, or you can't go too fast, or it'll blow up. And they fight, and Mando almost gets his ass kicked at some point.
Well, yeah, because I like that because you kind of see he's become really reliant on this super powerful armor. So when he blocks a hit and that shoulder pad is just gone, it's I can't actually take too many hits here.
Yeah.
Well, also, I love how this episode builds up tension. As soon as you see him in different armor, you feel uncomfortable, and they've got him pinned down. It's like, oh no, they're gonna destroy his helmet. Oh no.
Oh no.
Which doesn't happen, but
yeah. Well.
It's just something about as soon as you see him in different armor, you're in your head, you're like, that helmet's coming off. It's coming off at some point.
It felt really strange that when they make it and they succeed and they get away from the rebels and stormtroopers come out to reinforce them, and it feels like the show wants you to cheer for the appearance of the stormtroopers.
I like that. It's like
you're like, woo, backups here, woo, and it felt really weird. I don't know, like, I didn't have any moral issues with it. I was just like, it just felt weird, like, woo.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to feel weird. And Bill Burr turns to the man and is like, I bet you never thought you'd be cheering to see stormtroopers.
Yeah. And we get in, we go climb out the transport. Everyone's cheering.
I like in that base that all the stormtroopers are wearing random mismatched armor.
Yeah, there's like shore troopers from Rogue One and whatnot.
Yeah.
I bet they're the exact same armor suits from Rogue One. Like they probably didn't spend a penny.
Pull them out of storage.
Yeah.
But it really enforces that these are Imperial Remnant. They're just random what they've got left. And
they're trying to hold it together, yeah. And it's weird that the canteen was right as they walked in. They hadn't go through corridors. It's fine, whatever. They go in. Oh my god, Bill Burr can't go in there. That officer
used to be his commanding officer.
Yes, used to be his commanding officer. Used to know him. Can't walk in there. Recognise my face. And it's face recognition, so you can't do it, or I was going to take off your helmet. And he's like, fuck, I'll do it really quickly. And then he gets fucked over because he tries to not do it with the helmet, and the countdown starts. So everyone's kind of like wary of him. Like, see people are looking over. And then as they do it, everything's successful. And he's a bit walking, and he's like, hey, who are you? What's your trooper number? And he makes up some bullshit number. It's like, that's...
No, he just freezes, which I love. I love Pedro Pascal's performance with the helmet off, because he looks he looks so uncomfortable and so
Yes.
like I just want everything to go away. I just want to put my helmet back on and
He
run
does
and hide in a
talk,
corner.
though. He does talk, though. He does make up some bullshit number.
No,
And then-
I don't. No, he doesn't. He freezes, and then Bill Burr comes over.
No,
and makes up a number.
No, he doesn't, because when Bill Burr comes over and says the number, that's immediately convincing, and he's fine. But I'm sure he does talk. He definitely does talk. He says some bullshit number, and he's like, that's not true. He does freeze, but he also does say something eventually. Like,
I don't
he has
remember
to.
him saying something.
He says some bullshit number, and Bill Burr's like, "Hey, buddy, what's your name?" We call him Brown Eyes, and that's fantastic. And they go and they have a drink, and then
And
they
then
start
it's
talking
Bill
about
Burr's turn to fuck it up.
Bill Burr's trying to fuck it up, and they start talking about Project Cinder, Kyle.
Yep. Little Battlefront reference.
Reference, very nice. And for the first time ever, it clicked to me that this was like the reason the Empire was doing it. I don't know why this never clicked to me before. The reason the Empire were doing Operation Cinder was basically to bring the galaxy to its knees, so that when the Empire returned eventually, the New Republic would be struggling to hold it together, because they're now taking on the responsibility of these ruined
I
planets.
feel like they established that quite well in Battlefront, but sure.
I don't know. To me, it was just like the Empire. It was the Emperor. Just there was no tactic behind it. It was just like the burn it down strategy, but there was no reason for it. But no, they thought, oh no, so when the Empire returns one day, because that was always part of the plan, the New Republic will be really weak because all the infrastructure was
I
destroyed by
love
the
that
Empire.
scene at the table too, because it almost turns into a Tarantino film for a second.
Well, here's the thing. I kind of disengaged in that scene. It's the scene
did?
everyone's talking about, and I was like they were talking about, like, well, was it worth it? You killed all those innocent people. They didn't. And it's like they were loyal subjects of the Empire, and it's like, was it worth their life? And I just everybody's really amazed with that. Everyone's really amazed with that dialogue scene, and I don't think it was bad. I think it was good. I don't have a complaint about it. It never made a strict impression on me. People were like,
I love the look that Mando gives to Bill Burr. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
yeah, fair. Yeah, he's like, don't say anything, and he just shoots him. He just shoots him.
And I love that everyone in the rooms can't quite believe it just happened for a second. Like,
yeah, there's a
just shoot that
stormtrooper
guy?
holding his lunch tray. He's like, what the fuck? Nobody quite knows what to make of it. Did they shoot? Was the other guy an inferior? Like, did he deserve it? What did we do? And then they decide to start fighting. And apparently that window was always their escape strategy. So they kick open the window. Fennec and Cara Dune have got the snipers locked on to them. Whenever somebody jumps out, they get shot. They climb up, and Boba Fett comes in to save the day. And they're flying away. And
I thought for sure Bill Burr was going to die, by the way.
well, hold on. Oh my, TIE fighter's chasing. Drops out a little package that we all remember. A seismic charge, Kyle. One of the most iconic
The audio
sounds.
cuts out, and it's like, oh no, did the video break? No, it didn't.
One of the most iconic sounds in Star Wars that's not in the original trilogy.
It's a glorious sound. It really is.
Wonderful. It's visually appealing and it's glorious, and it's nice to see they brought it back. Again, investment in this universe isn't wasted. It makes sense. And
It did make me think, boy, Slave One's an old ship.
fair.
It's driving around in your dad's old hot rods.
We're just loving the eargasm that we've had.
Yes.
And then Bill Burr is like, give me that cycler rifle, another gun from Battlefront 1. And it sounded like it as well. He shoots, bloody good aim. I think that's a bullshit shot, but whatever.
He was established as a Imperial sharpshooter, okay, in the
I
first
know,
season.
but it's fine. Again, I'm not going to tear the show down or anything for it. I just think it was wild. Because even the shot was, it's like, Luke Skywalker couldn't have made that shot.
Luke Skywalker could have made that shot, but the sniper rifle, come on.
I think because they were in a ship that was moving, and it wasn't just they weren't trying to shoot the transport; they were trying to shoot a specific hole on the transport where some of the fuel was exposed. It was just it was so small. Anyway, they do it. It's fine. The entire base blows up. Very satisfying. They go back. They pick up Cara Dune and Fennec, and they're like, "Oh, it's a shame." Mayweather.
Bill Burr died.
What's his name?
Mayfeld.
Mayfeld. It's a shame he died. Oh well. And they're like, oh, are you kidding me? And then Mando just like, fuck off, leave, you can go, it's fine. And he walks away. So it was good that apparently Bill Burr and Jon Favreau are quite good friends. So I think like that's deliberate. It's very deliberate they're not killing him off, so he can always return.
He's a fun character. I like him.
Fun character. We like that character, and he's gone. And now that takes us into
the moment you've all been waiting for.
We forgot the interrogation scene where Baby Yoda's just fucking shit up. He's using the Force and stuff.
He's throwing the stormtroopers around.
Yeah, he's Force choking them and stuff. They look really scared. I thought it almost felt comical, but accidentally comical. And
I don't know if it was accidentally comical. I think it was supposed to be kind of funny.
It was supposed to be. I just more found it slightly awkward, but it was good. And we then get Gideon brings out the Darksaber again. The first time we see it this season, Kyle. And he's like, "Oh, don't touch it. You're a little bit too." And then you're a little bit too young for that. And then they put the handcuffs on him, and they stun him with a stun gun.
Baby-sized handcuffs.
Baby-sized handcuffs. And then they use a stun gun on him, famed from A New Hope, and set him to sleep. And I thought that was really brutal. Actually, you see him lying there. Episode done. Then we go to season 2, episode 8, chapter 16, the final episode.
Before we get into here, I just want to. For this episode, I saw a very prevalent reviewer on Twitter tweet something about this episode. I just want to read it to you.
This is Jenny Nichols.
The Mandalorian is a feat of imagination. Telling stories in this sandbox is still possible. This show proves it. It's a very prevalent reviewer by the name of Nathan Tenney wrote that on Twitter.
I've never heard of him.
And I got to be. I read that tweet before I watched the episode, and I thought you were joking. I thought that was sarcasm because it's the way it's so flimmery. I genuinely thought you were joking.
I was being serious, Kyle. I was on a high, and I was on a dopamine high.
Okay, well, let's talk about it because my tweet was, don't know how I feel about that.
And then I don't think I liked it.
Yes. So let's talk.
This is the culmination of the season. They pick up Bo-Katan.
And the lady and the guy's gone.
The guy's just gone. The guy was gone because they wanted the all-female incursion team. I know that's why he was gone. But in lore, who knows? They're very willing to do it, and they're like, she's like, I've heard your voice before. I didn't know sidekicks were allowed to speak, and he's like, Boba Fett's like, you better watch it, princess. And then she's like, this was my father's armor. I'm Mandalorian. And she's like, you mean your donor? Oh,
snap, son. She knows Captain Rex.
Yeah. And she's like, I've heard thousands of your voices. You're a clone, and I don't know. It's just something about it, Kyle. I just like it. I like referencing the fact that prequels exist. Cause I still feel like even though we're clearly in a Clone Wars golden age, in live action, I don't feel like we are. I'm like, nope, this is good. Keep giving me more of this. Keep giving me more of this vindication. I can't get enough of it.
I think it's funny that Bo-Katan, the true leader of Mandalore, raids her arch nemesis for the Darksaber with one person, one other Mandalorian. She doesn't assemble a team or anything to do this.
Yeah. It was
just weird.
It was very like, we need to act now before it's too late. So,
do you think that guy was just in the bathroom and they just left him there?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And no, wait, does it not start before that with they're chasing down the Doctor in a shuttle?
Yes. And as our friend pointed out, Nathan Malik is there from the popular show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they have a nice little dogfight with the Atlantic-class shuttle. By the way, did they leave the Doctor on the shuttle?
I don't know. I don't know where he is.
He does, because they take the shuttle with them because they use it later.
The Dr. Bashir looking guy.
Yeah, but he doesn't show up again, does he?
No. He's also very willing to help them. I don't understand this character, this doctor guy.
I love that the Imperial pilots start just selling each other out and then one of them shoots them.
It's like, I'm not with him, we can make a deal. Bang, dead.
Yeah, dead, okay. We've got the team, we've looked at the schematics. Boba Fett's going to chase the Imperial shuttle with everyone on board, and then everyone's going to go out and fight, and Mando's going to go and sneak down to the brig. So we go really quick. There's a lovely lightspeed shot of Slave One and the Atlantic-class shuttle and lightspeed together. Nice shot, very nice shot. They come out of hyperspace and he's like, put up your shields, princess, I'm going to put on a good show,
If I have another critique about this, right? Why is Bo-Katan the one speaking? if there's anyone in that shuttle that Moff Gideon would immediately recognise their voice, it's Bo-Katan. Right?
Oh, I don't even know how much they've spoke.
He has the Darksaber. I assume they know each other. They seem to have a sort of... She at least has some sort of rivalry with them, right? So I just assumed they would know each other.
Possible. I never saw it as a problem, but I guess you're sort of right. But again, you know, I actually thought they were going to do like a Return of the Jedi, like they're about to approve the landing, and then Gideon's like, stop. It's an older code, you know, sir, but it checks out. I thought that's what they were going to do, and they didn't. And then he's like, deploy the TIE fighters. The TIE fighters go out to fight off Boba Fett and defend the shuttlecraft, and the shuttlecraft is like ignores all other orders and crash lands in the bay. By the way, light cruiser, I don't think we've ever seen it deploy TIEs that way before. That was cool.
No, they shoot at the front. It looks very risky.
Yes,
you miss out that turn 1 centimetre and
Kyle,
you're crashing.
These things really move. The famed line that Poe Dameron says in The Force Awakens when he first flies a TIE fighter, because it goes when it just goes really in straight lines. Yes. It goes really quick. So they have a smashing space battle. The Lanta class shuttle crashes in the bay, stunning basically everyone because never expected that to happen. And then they break out through the smoke, and then Boba Fett uses the auto-rotating turret on the Slave One to shoot TIE fighters behind him, also from Battlefront 2.
And then hashtag Girl Squad comes out and murders everyone.
Yeah, so hashtag Girl Squadron comes out, wrecks shop moving like a really well-coordinated fire team to the bridge. And when it's all quiet, Mando sneaks out and goes all stealthy, and then there's like a Imperial Protocol droid moving around, and he hides, and then just as he's about to get to the Dark Trooper bay, they're open earlier than expected. And instead of closing the door, he decides to try and shoot through, giving them time to keep advancing. And so much to the point where he lets one through, though he gets the door closed anyway, and they start trying to punch their way out. And man, those things are hard to kill.
I like them. They're cool looking.
They are cool looking. They're third generation ones. They've not got any humans inside them. They are completely unstoppable killing machines. I think they feel heavy. They look heavy. They are a serious threat, and I'm happy we got to see him struggle to contend with one of them. I think it really set up that these were not... Like, there was a reason they didn't want them to get out and about on the ship, and they wanted to get them ejected into space as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. That was like...
Well, as soon as he ejects them into space, I was just like, that's a terrible idea. They're robots. Obviously, they're going to fly back in.
Briefly, I actually forgot they could fly, and I thought, oh, they'll just be left... they'll be alive, because they obviously don't need air, but they'll just kind of be hovering. Like, they'll just be floating out in space with no direction. They'll just rust and go offline.
You know who could have taken some notes from this script? The writers of that hack show Star Trek Picard.
Hey!
Remember when they eject all the Borg and it's all the Borg are dead now?
Yep, exactly. I was like, okay, that's that good. That was a really good fight where he keeps punching him, but the Beskar's not denting, but he starts denting the wall behind him, uses the flamethrower.
That was fun, yeah.
The entire thing catches fire, has to use the Beskar spear to eventually kill it. Blasters do absolutely nothing to it. And then we make our way to the brig, and Gideon isn't on the bridge where Bo-Katan thought. He's in the brig with Baby Yoda with the Darksaber ready to execute.
And she had specified on the shuttle over that she wants to be the one to beat Gideon. And to any outsiders, like, I guess she just has pride. But if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
There's a specific reason she wants to fight him.
No, I think that's BS, by the way, because Sabine hands it to her in Rebels.
I know, but Sabine didn't win it in battle. It's fine.
Yeah, well, so we're left with this this question of, well, what do we do now? Do you kill me? Do you kill Baby Yoda? Do I get Baby Yoda and I'll leave? You can keep the Darksaber. I don't care. I just want the kid and I'll leave. I want Grogu and I'll get out of here. And they seems to be quite business dealy, you know. It's like, oh, okay, my back's gonna get. I think Gideon.
I honestly didn't expect Gideon to try and attack him. I didn't actually see it coming.
I thought it would. I kind of believed that he was genuinely trying to make a deal, but something about the way they shot it, and I was like, well, how anticlimactic is that be? Like, what's Gideon just gonna? Is Mando just gonna abandon everyone? Like, I thought, no. Something has to happen here, but I believe the deal that we had was since I thought it sounded genuine, and then no, he tries to execute him pretty brutally. Jetpack's also made out of pure Beskar, in case you didn't know.
I guess so.
Yes, so, and you know, he's again just like when Ahsoka hits him, doesn't penetrate, just good hit, good hit, good hit. And it's quite brutal as well.
Felt,
it just keeps
like,
going
I know
in.
we don't actually know all that much about Moff Gideon, but it felt out of character to me that he thought he could win that fight. Or maybe he just wanted Mando to win so he could fuck with Bo-Katan. That's entirely possible.
I think that's also possible because I think he knows how it works, and he was quite happy being like, you own it now, you know. Good luck. He's like, you spared me, now what, you know? And he wins the fight. Good fight. You see like all the Beskar spear heating up again. And he goes and gets Baby Yoda, and then he escorts him to the bridge holding the Darksaber in hand. A very cool shot with the kit with Grogu in the other arm.
Mm-hmm.
And they throw him down on the floor, and it's like, you own it now, you own it now, you know, give it, you know. It's like, no, I don't want it, you can have it. And he's like, no, you got to win it in battle.
Gideon's a good line. It's like, the sword doesn't have any power, the story has power.
Everyone could just lie about the story, they'll be like, yeah, this is what happened. Everyone believes
Yeah,
it.
The Mandalorians, you know, honor and all that shit.
Honor all that shit, yeah. And he's like, fine,
like,
okay, I yield.
Obviously, Fennec Shand and Cara Dune don't give a crap, but there is one other Mandalorian lady in there who probably cares.
Yeah, who probably cares. And even then he's like, fine, okay, we let's get into a fight right now, and I'll yield in the first second, you know, fine, you win, I yield. Like, I love that, like, Mando was very sincere about just, okay, fine, I yield.
He doesn't care.
No,
yeah.
He's just like, okay,
he just
fine.
wants Baby Yoda.
Yeah, he's looking for loopholes. He's just like, okay, fine, I yield, you can have it. He's like, no.
That's another undercurrent of this season that I really like, is Mando being dragged into Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like he keeps getting into these more and more serious situations.
Yep.
Like in the first season, he's just kind of doing his own thing, but now it's like, oh, he's fighting the Imperial Remnant. And now he's getting tied up in all these Mandalorian politics, and you know he doesn't want this, but he just ends up in these situations.
Well, we start to get an alert klaxon. Wah, wah, wah. We're being boarded. The Dark Troopers are back, baby. And in this moment of chaos, because they're starting to march through the ship, and they're like setting themselves up.
They have an absolutely classic Star Wars room, which is a bridge over a ray shield for no fucking reason whatsoever. Yeah, why is that there?
I think that bridge might be like for doing repairs. Like you could probably bring like a TIE fighter up or something, or a shuttlecraft up in there. I think you could.
It doesn't look big enough for that.
We never saw it up because again it's a set and there's probably nothing but soundstage lights up there. But I think there probably is a ceiling up there. It could be quite high. And the bridge seems retractable to me because it does seem quite bizarre. In this instant of ruckus, there's a blaster that Gideon had hid under his cape.
Yes.
Like a fucking cartoon villain. He's like, me, here's my cape. And he brings it out and he shoots. He shoots.
No, he doesn't do that at this point.
Yeah, he does. I'm sure he does.
No, he does that when they're banging on the door, I think.
No,
I think it's when a certain someone shows up and he starts panicking.
No, I think he doesn't now. Because I'm reading a plot. I'm reading like the wiki plot synopsis. And it says, Dark Troopers return. Gideon seizes the opportunity to ineffectively shoot both Bo-Katan and Mandalorian, who acts as the defense of Grogu. Then he attempts suicide, but is disarmed by Cara Dune. And then Death Troopers close up on the bridge to break through the blast doors. Again, it is Wikipedia, open to edit, but...
I'm sure that happened at a different point, okay?
Well, at this point, something like that would be pretty interchangeable. And for a second I thought, because Bo-Katan gets blown back, she gets taken off her feet.
Yeah, and they don't cut to her, and I'm like, what the fuck happened to her? Why are you cutting to her to confirm she's okay?
It's pure Beskar, you know, maybe not.
Just in another shot, she's fine. She's like limping a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I even missed the limp.
She's just fine. So
when he tries to shoot Grogu, it's actually quite like shocking because they cut it so close, where it's like that bullet is seconds. It might have even hit Mando in the neck if it was any sooner. Like it would have missed the chest piece and the helmet and went right into the neck. Like it was very close. I thought it was something about the way it happened. I was like, Christ, someone could die there. And then after that all fails, he tries to commit suicide. And Cara Dune's like, he kicks the gun out of his hand. And I thought that was
surely
wild.
He has a cyanide pill.
Surely, yeah, I would think so. Maybe, he only gives that to, like, he's so confident in himself. Like, he was like, I won't need one of them.
It's possible.
But it was weird, like, seeing a character with so much, regalness and laddie-daddiness getting ready to commit suicide, like, with a blaster. They're like, close the blast doors. The blast doors shut, and the Death Troopers are all over the ship. They're in the corridors, like, guarding certain access points. They're in the corridor from an elevator leading right into the bridge. and then the doors are shut, and then they put their RoboCop guns away into their leg, and then they start to punch, 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 punch. And I got a sincere sense of dread, Kyle. I was like, oh my god. Like I mean, I don't mean for me. I meant like I pictured myself in that situation where it's like, okay, the blasters are shut, and then that first punch would be.
It's very
quite
Terminator.
Jittery. Yeah, that first punch is quite jittery in my mind. I'd be like, oh my god. Like maybe this 10th punch in, you would be just getting really amped to get into a fight. But like again, we saw how difficult it was to take down one of them. People would have died. Look how many of them there was. They were going to die.
They had a lightsaber in there.
Not necessarily trained with it though.
It's a sword. He can use a spear, he can use a sword.
Well, they were backed up against the wall, and like people were going to die. Gideon was right. I will be the only person in this room left alive after this, and I think he said the child as well, Grogu. And then we get another klaxon, Kyle. Wah, wah, wah. A lone X-wing. Or it says,
I wonder who it is.
They said like X-wing, one lone X-wing. Oh, great. And that's kind of funny, imagine if it really was one just New Republic pilot like Dave Filoni.
It was that fat guy, yeah.
It was Dave Filoni came back to save the day.
I would have preferred that.
And, oh god, we're really going to have it out. And we're looking at the security cameras and we see this long black cape. And for a second,
I wonder who it is.
Maybe it's Kanan or Ahsoka? And you see one lightsaber and you're like, it's probably not.
No, there was no one. People keep saying this was a mystery. It was clearly not a mystery. I don't understand people who think it was it was obviously Luke Skywalker.
Do you want me to explain to you?
Sure.
So, there's such a disbelief amongst most people. Maybe you never had this disbelief and that's why you had such a big disconnection. But there was such a disbelief amongst many people, myself included, that they were ever going to touch Luke Skywalker, especially in this show and so soon after the sequel trilogy. Just people doubted it, especially in live action. If an animated show, maybe okay, fine. One lone X-wing, okay, but that's obvious. That's screaming Luke Skywalker. But it's
yes.
not. But
yes,
listen,
it is.
No, but listen, it's not going to be Luke Skywalker, Kyle. Why the fuck are they going to use Luke Skywalker? That's such a big card to play in this show.
It sure is.
They're not going to play Luke Skywalker's card. How great would that be? But they're not going to do it. And then okay, because also there was something about when you see that behind a behind view of the cloaked figure walking through the Star Destroyer's corridor, and there's something kind of, this hood looks a little bit jagged, and there's something away about the walk of the glide or something where it could be ever so slightly interpreted as being feminine, and the spikes again on the head, maybe it's Ahsoka. But then you see a shot with one lightsaber, not Ahsoka, unless she's deciding to use one for some strange reason. Because it's all in black and white, so you can't see the colour. Maybe it's Kanan. Green lightsaber could be Kanan.
Kanan's dead.
Not Kanan. Ezra. Sorry. Ezra. I didn't mean Kanan. If I've said Kanan previous, I meant Ezra. And you see the green lightsaber, you see the black glove, okay, it's Luke Skywalker, right? And he's cutting his way up. Like, that's when it become apparent to most people, think that it's Luke. But again, they're still not showing the face now. Obviously, we know why. But
yeah, because it's a weird CGI mess.
Now, but in your head, they're still like, if it's Luke Skywalker, just show us, like if it's a different actor or something, and you just keep going through, and the music's going up and up and up, and he's cutting these people down. He's using the Force.
It's a really intense finale where our hero is watching a monitor as a random person kills all the threat.
You think this is these are the voyages?
Yes.
So we get right up to the end, and he has his own hallway scene, and fantastic. They open the door. Grogu senses it's a Force wielder of some sort, and they come in. You see the green glow going through the smoke. It looks beautiful. And the Force, you hear the Force theme, and he takes his hood down.
It's a weird CGI.
It's a Pixar character.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that this is, to be frank, it's the worst CG deepfake that Star Wars has ever done. I think it's worse than Leia in Rogue One. That I thought, even though you could obviously tell it's a CG face, like I never thought that off-putting. Tarkin, there's a disconnect to the fact that we all know that person's dead. I think the Tarkin one is actually quite good, and I'm fed up of maybe sometimes playing it down to say, no, it's CGI, it's got its limitations. I think that was pretty good. I think I'm in a place now in my head where I can defend the Tarkin CG. And yes, okay, it's not perfect, but there is the mindset where that actor is dead, and I know he's dead, and that's all playing into my head. And this is the worst CG they've ever done for a deepfake character in Star Wars. But I'm incredibly forgiving of it, because I've been talking a lot about investment in your lore and your time. And again, I don't think we're going to get a Luke Skywalker show. If we're going to get a Luke Skywalker show, recast, because you're not going to do that really shitty deepfake every single scene for our main character. We haven't even finished reviewing it. Now we're just getting into is Luke Skywalker showing up a good or bad thing. Luke Skywalker says that, it's time to go, little one. And then he's like, he doesn't want to go with you. Mando said, and he said, no, he's asking your permission. And and then he goes up to him and he takes off his helmet and he says goodbye. It's really emotional. Luke Skywalker's like, okay, time to go. And he puts him down. And R2-D2 comes rolling into the room. And, apparently they two are going to be best of chums because they get on in that brief little interaction. And then he says, may the Force be with you. And they walk away down the corridor and the music's still going. And Mando's just kind of standing there looking really uncomfortable as he always has. And cut to black. And that's the end.
Okay.
And again, the abrupt cut plays into the rumours about them being behind the scenes maybe troubles. I'm not sure where the filming stage they were at when the
How does that play into it? It was the end of the scene. I don't know what
it was the end of the show
afterwards. Yeah,
like there could be a cut down thing where it's like, okay, wind down where the characters kind of wrap everything up. No, it just ended. There was no wrap up. It was just okay.
Star Wars doesn't do that, other than like the party on Endor, but usually it just cuts.
Nah, you get like after the big fight in the Phantom Menace, you get the funeral, and then you get the Way of Peace, and you get the celebration, Attack of the Clones after Geonosis. You get
I don't have a problem with the way it ended in any way. I don't interpret that as some kind of behind the scenes drama.
Well, people think that there was supposed to be more. But I don't think it's bad, by the way. I really don't think it's critiquing, but I do think it plays into the rumours that are being fueled. Because again, we don't know at what part issues cropped up and everything's filmed out of order. Luke Skywalker takes him away, cut to end. But to get back to our Luke Skywalker thing, I'm forgiving of it because I just really am. Where I don't think we're going to get a Sebastian Stan Young Skywalker era show. And this show that is so connected to its lore and so connected to its, everything.
Okay.
I think that
let me stop. Let me lay out my case for why I don't like this scene.
Okay,
and I'm going to stop you right now because you're under the impression that I don't like that Luke Skywalker is in it, and that's not true. I don't have a problem with Luke Skywalker showing up in this show.
Do you have a These Are the Voyages problem?
I think that having this superhero show up and save the day is just a huge Deus Ex Machina. Like, it's one of the most direct, blatant Deus Ex Machinas that I've ever seen. Like, our heroes are in trouble and then a superhero comes in to save the day.
I actually disagree with you.
Okay.
This show went to lengths that I actually thought at times were a little bit frustrating. To talk about how, he'll commune with the Force and the Jedi might hear it and follow him and come and take him away.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I understand that they established it.
That is a Chekhov's gun right there. A Jedi might come unless Grogu decides not to take up on it, and because he's been in captivity right after that point, we never got a scene where he said, I don't mean say, signal that he did not want to do more Jedi stuff. No, he's been in captivity. We've not, because the last two episodes, because he was with Gideon, were very Grogu light, so we never really got to catch up with his mindset. So, okay, that Chekhov's gun is still hanging on the wall. Jedi might be coming. And now this is the last.
Okay, I understand that.
Incredible Hulk,
but that doesn't mean the Jedi has to save the day. I don't think that scene where they're strapped with the Death Troopers is as whole place as they make it out to be. They could get creative. They could use EMPs. They could have Boba Fett fly back in, EMP the ship to do something. I don't know. I don't think a Jedi was the only solution out of that situation. After they've rescued Grogu by themselves, then you can have the Jedi come in and it's like a bittersweet ending because he's going away now. And here's the other thing, right? People didn't like, we're going to get meta with this. People didn't like The Last Jedi and how it handled Luke Skywalker. Remember?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So I got another tweet. This one isn't from you, but it's one that I knew because it's the same feeling I had, just in the opposite direction. So here we go. This is just some random person on Twitter. John Favreau and Dave just schooled the fuck out of Rian Johnson on how you treat Luke Skywalker, and it only took 10 minutes.
I think I read that tweet as well.
And that's the exact impression I got. This was another, because people were saying, oh, Luke Skywalker, he's cut off from the Force, he's cowardly, he doesn't go out with a lightsaber and fuck people up, and this felt like, and I don't like using fan service as a negative term, I think. Just a little bit of service for the fans is fine.
Yeah.
But this, it almost felt out of character for me for Luke Skywalker to be this quiet badass walking through the halls. That's not who Luke Skywalker is to me. Luke Skywalker is an interesting hero because he fails constantly. He succeeds in the end, but he's not a badass, Luke Skywalker. He's not. That's not who he is in the original trilogy. So this just felt wrong to me.
Have you heard of #IgniteTheGreen?
No.
So this kind of came out of after The Last Jedi, or maybe it was before The Last Jedi, but people were excited at the prospect of Luke coming in and fucking shit up. That's just been a thing, Luke Skywalker thing. And to be honest with you, I think it is probably born out of Legends, wherein, Heir to the Empire and whatnot, and trilogies like that, where Luke Skywalker is this powerful force wielder that tears down Death Stars and stuff. That is the post-Return of the Jedi Luke that people have been trained to expect for 30 years or something. And after, he does I am a Jedi like my father before me, he has this big fight with Darth Vader, he stands down in front of Palpatine and stands on his morals and won't strike down Vader. And he's a badass in stature, if not a badass in lightsaber swinging, because it was 1983. That fight is also superb with Vader. And people have been under this impression because of Legends, though for the majority of that time it wasn't Legends, it was the canon, because it was pre-Disney. People have had this expectation, this is kind of what Luke Skywalker becomes, this knight of truth and good and badass, like he's going to keep growing in his power, just this walking tank of justice, if you like, I guess. Obviously the fighting and the swinging and the hacking, you're saying silence, I don't think there's much you can really say, and like in that moment as a person, because you're walking through by yourself. Which I know is not really taking.
What I mean by that is he has the hood up. It doesn't even seem to be phasing him that much. Like it's not even a struggle for him to do this.
Well, and I wouldn't disagree with you, but I also wouldn't say that I find that to be a problem, because
it's just boring. It's just not interesting.
See, I think that the fan service that you see, like for fan service that I would say is rotten, is when the I don't like you either people show up in Rogue One. That's fan service in the worst way. But when you've got these people that are immensely dissatisfied with how it looks, because I knew before we recorded this after the episode, I knew that The Last Jedi will always show up again when we talk about Luke Skywalker now. People were disappointed. It's just a matter of fact and discourse now, matter of history. People didn't like how Luke. I know people did. You're one of them. People just weren't. Ignite the Green is a thing that exists as like a fan desire. People have had this expectation of Luke Skywalker post Return of the Jedi being this larger-than-life knight of the Jedi Order that's very powerful. And the hood up, I think, does play to things like Return of the Jedi when he's in Jabba's palace and stuff. And again, I think there's also...
You mean in Jabba's palace when he goes in and loses and gets shot through in a Rancor pit?
I've read those tweets. But I'm talking about the visual look. I'm not talking about the appearance. Because again, I think the actions stem from Legends. I'm talking about the appearance with the hood up from Return of the Jedi. You know what? This was satisfying to me and to, I believe, the majority of people, even people who I've spoke to who love The Last Jedi. Also, I'm not saying you have to be consistent with these people, but I know people who like both very, very much. I know people that are actually pissed off at it because they know where this leads and they think, oh, did Grogu just die at the temple then? I guess that probably isn't your problem, because you don't have a problem with Luke Skywalker, you have a problem with him just saving the day. And you know what, again, for someone, I can't lie, The Last Jedi, as I've spoke about ad nauseum, ain't really what I wanted with Luke Skywalker, even if the film itself is somewhat interesting in what it is attempting. I wanted to see Luke Skywalker cut fools down, and this to me is is vindication. That tweet you read about doing more in service of the character in 10 minutes of Ryan Johnson, I think that tweet is very much a middle finger fuck you that I wouldn't necessarily co-sign. I think there's more nuance in any discussion that one can ever have. But I cannot express to you the joy that was brought to me with my image of Luke Skywalker being brought to life in this show. And I think that Star Wars isn't really necessarily high art. It's got some very simple messages, and ultimately people wanted to be entertaining. And this just, to me, this pushed all the right buttons. CG face aside, I don't think that needs to be discussed. It was the worst ever. It was a complete dead zombie. Like, if you want me to critique it, I can critique that until the cows come home. But I'm going to forgive it because, again, I think that it's the downside of being as dedicated to the continuity as they are. I know they made a solo movie, but nobody asked for that with a new actor.
I don't subscribe to the idea that everything in this universe has to involve a Skywalker.
I would argue that almost 2 seasons of The Mandalorian didn't.
No, like you said, they were all building up to this. And that's what I find so deflating about it too, is the heroes of this show are not the ones who save the day in the end.
Well, remember when you said that The Mandalorian keeps getting brought into Star Wars and he hates it? This is an instance of Star Wars coming to the show as a whole. Like, Luke Skywalker just as Star Wars. And you could say that I would like a film where there's no Skywalkers. Skywalkers are done. This is separate from everything. But we've also spoke about how this is becoming like a third pillar in the Filoniverse. Ahsoka showing up, Bo-Katan showing up. At that point, you're not that far away from a Luke Skywalker showing up. It's the natural conclusion of bringing this character into the wider universe known as the Star Wars.
Again, I don't explicitly have a problem with Luke Skywalker showing up. I just don't like the way it was handled. I don't think he should have shown up as a big action hero to save the day.
Art is subjective, Kel, but there was people who critiqued the Vader scene in Rogue One, the hallway. They thought it was inconsistent with the character and how his physicality was in A New Hope. And I think it was Cinema Ones that spoke about it, and it was he was ranting about how great this scene was and how much he loved it, and it was fantastic, and it was how he's always pictured this villain being in his entire childhood. And he was like, if you don't take, because obviously Cinema Ones is supposed to be a positive channel, not that Cinema Sins that does all the tearing down stuff. He says, if you don't feel joy from this, I don't know what to say to you at the end of the day. Like, this is massive vindication for fans, and for not only for fans, isn't everyone, because obviously everyone isn't happy with it, like yourself, but this just was distilled joy, and I don't even think that it wasn't the service of any character, because I actually don't think less of the rest of them, and I think the show went to lengths to explain how hard Dark Troopers were to take down. Again, if you don't see it like that, Kel, I actually don't think that I'm going to be able to convince you, because these are the voyaging of your characters, I think, is quite a valid complaint, that they've just been sidelined over a more beloved character from fandom whole. But I cannot give you an expressive breakdown reason, at least not right now, so soon after.
Okay,
it was just wonderful.
Take this exact scene and replace Luke Skywalker with a random made-up Jedi. Would you still feel the same about the scene?
Yes. Not as much joy.
Six Smash Mosh.
Not as much.
Six Smash Mosh came in and killed all the Dark Troopers and took away Baby Yoda. Would you be fine with that?
Not as much joy and emotion, but they're trapped in a room and Dark Troopers are nigh on impossible to kill.
But wouldn't you prefer that they get some sort of ingenuity and they come up with a solution to this problem as opposed to just waiting to be saved?
I would need to simmer on it, to be honest with you. It just didn't bother me. And you know what? Actually, I think I was a bit too hastened to react. If it was not Luke Skywalker, possibly, yes, maybe. I won't commit. I'm going to say these possiblies and maybes because I really do need to think about it more, because we are really coming out of it fresh, and I've got a very positive reaction and you've got quite a negative reaction to that sequence. And I need, like I said, I need to get back to you. But I think that it was simply a lovely piece of, yes, fan service, but Star Wars is going to Star Wars. And I Luke Skywalker, to me, kind of is Star Wars in this era. which is why I think if you want to do...
It didn't feel like Luke Skywalker to me, though. It just felt like The Last Jedi is about people's ideas of Luke Skywalker, and this is just people's idea of what Luke Skywalker is. It's not
so
actually
that's why,
Luke Skywalker.
That's why I said I think The Last Jedi tries to be quite interesting in some areas. I think it's as a film, I think The Last Jedi is a clear idea and wants to do something with it. I think Star Wars is the wrong franchise to do that in, though. I think what Alec Guinness said about Star Wars was simply marvellous escapism. And I think that it's just Star Wars fan. If they'd done this sequence in a different universe, perhaps I would be on your side. Very possible. But there's certain franchises where it's the demons of inconsistency will creep into one's minds, and people want their childhood Luke Skywalker hero to do stuff, and it's like playing with toys and making your own imagination with the sandbox. This was just people's conceptions of Luke Skywalker being this hero that saves the day, and Rian Johnson came in and said, yeah, that isn't true, that he's just a man, and he's been, he failed, and that's interesting. But this is Star Wars. I want my escapism, and I don't want to be robbed of that escapism. And this brought me back to my fabulous escapism in seeing this character that I love so dearly, just doing cool stuff. I don't mean to throw art under the bus by saying that Star Wars isn't high art, but I don't know. This is for Star Wars. Maybe I have a higher bar for something like Star Trek, but I just really enjoy seeing my escapism be vindicated and seeing things that I like doing cool shit.
On that, I think Star Wars can be more than that. I think there's plenty of stories in this universe that prove that. I think, my favourite book ever, Dark Disciple, I think proves that. I don't think it has to be so blunt and so, just watching people swing a lightsaber. I think even the original trilogy is more than that. I think there's more going on. It's not about swinging the lightsaber and doing cool shit, because the sword fights, as we've all pointed out, are kind of crap in the original trilogy, but it's not about the sword fights. It's about more. It's about the storytelling.
But I think
this was just seeing Luke Skywalker do something cool.
It's a simple story of good versus evil. I think it's a tale as old as time. A long time ago, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. A long time ago in a land far, far away. It's these simple princess in a tower stories. And I know I get really annoyed when people say Star Wars is made for 12-year-olds. It's always that adage that they fall back on, and I think that they use it as a scapegoat when something can't be a little bit more sophisticated or it's a little bit too childish. And that does annoy me.
I think it infers that child media can't be good or something.
I think it means children have got to be able to follow it. The adults most sophisticated adults can follow pretty much any story if they're invested enough, but children. At a point, I'm not you've got to have certain things, dumbed down a little bit, and I don't think Star Wars necessarily is that. By the way, I think Star Wars, in terms of its ideas, can be quite big, but I think in its execution, I think it just wants to be some escapism. It can be good and evil. Nice little. It's good and evil as its backdrop, and then how do these characters react to it? And.
You can take that setting and you can do something more interesting with it. I made a 30-minute video about that exact topic.
I know.
Which you claim was a good video.
Yes. I don't, because this is what I mean. Like, we talk about The Last Jedi, it's done something more interesting with the world. I think that's on principle is fine, but there's something a completely emotional and demon devils of inconsistency get involved where you're just thinking, not in my Star Wars, please. And it sounds completely like
it sounds childish.
You know what? I can't disagree with you. And in some worlds out there, perhaps, and the books can do some stuff more sophisticated. I got to say, it's because less people read the books. The stakes aren't as high, and I want to see my Luke Skywalker take down a Star Destroyer using the Force, which happened in a book. I want to see it all come to live action. This was that, not necessarily for me, but for people in their 40s and 50s.
Seeing a character do cool things doesn't make that an interesting character. That's not what makes characters interesting. Iron Man isn't interesting because he blows stuff up. He's interesting because he's a compelling character.
But that's what makes him cool, though. You know, I don't think I didn't when I watched Luke Skywalker cut down those Dark Troopers. I didn't go, "That's really interesting." I wasn't thinking, "Oh, what are the ramifications on his psyche?" You know, how are the people on the bridge reacting to this hooded figure walking through the starship, approaching them? I was incoherent with joy that this character that I have such love for showed up.
I can't engage with media on that surface level.
I can for certain media. Star Wars is one of few, I might add. If it can do more and also give me the satisfaction, fine. Like, I'm here for it. But if it can only give me an intellectual discussion without giving me the escapism that I desire, because that's what I ultimately will go with Star Wars for, it's escapism and it's fun. If it can't give me the escapism with it, I don't think I'm here for it. And that's me. We're having a discussion about art at the end of the day. If we were to engage about Star Trek, I would probably say a lot of things that would sound completely 180 and hypocritical speaking about Star Wars. But I have different levels for different things, and I think what this franchise was set up for, like, the bars can vary. Like, what promise does a show set or does a film set that's supposed to live up to, and does it live up to that promise? I think Star Wars, by and large, does. I think, and I know we're going to do a Star Trek review, I think Star Trek, by and large, at the moment, doesn't live up to the promise that it's founded on. And I don't really need any more from Star Wars, though. If it was Star Trek and if this was a Star Trek show, I think it would leave much to be desired. But as a Star Wars show, I think this was simply delightful, Kyle.
Tune in a couple of weeks for a Star Trek Discovery review.